This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
Hi, this is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all it counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Welcome to the June 30th edition of One Nation Radio. My name is Rich Latta, of course, here with my co-host James Boyd. James, what's going on, man?
Not much. It's NBA season or for free agency season, so it's getting wild out here. People getting paid, NFL players crying, and then I just also saw a video of of Xavier Woods in a Zelina Vega shirt, and it is the size of that Zelina Vega will wear, so it's medium on him. And then he she compliments him on the shirt, nice shirt. And then all of a sudden he takes a couple steps, and then all of a sudden Aleister Black.
Yep. Yeah, man. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about some NBA free agency. We're going to talk about Fyter Fest, of course. I was there in person. James watched it from TV.
Yes.
And Ring of Honor goes down in flames Friday night, and whatever else we come up with, because y'all know how we do here on this show, we just wow the fuck out. But yeah, the Knicks, the Knicks, Knicks, boy,
yeah,
losing.
Let's get this mixtape.
Losing.
Let's do it.
If you guys want to skip the NBA talk, fast forward a little bit, but the NBA has always been James and I's first love here on this. But
yeah.
Yeah, man, the New York Knicks were supposed to get KD, Kyrie, Zion, AD, Jesus, the Son of God. Who else you want to add to that?
The Holy Spirit.
The Holy Spirit. Moses, Cain,
not Malone,
Abel. Everybody was supposed to come help. You know, win that team a title that hasn't won a title since 1973. Watergate, Nixon, Vietnam War, Muhammad Ali. Before he fought George Foreman.
Yeah, man.
Wilt Chamberlain's still in the league. Afros, real ones. Yeah. Soul Train.
Dude. It's just funny because if the way people are talking, if Durant had not blown out his Achilles, he may have been able to persuade Kyrie to go to the Knicks. That was a preferred destination. But because Kyrie's a weirdo, Brooklyn makes sense, because that's where New Yorkers, the weirdos, the off-branders, the hipsters, all the things, all the negative things people have to say about Brooklyn, that's where they go. So Kyrie will fit right in with the people talking about, like, there won't be no racism in the future. We're going to pass all that hate. So, like, Kyrie's definitely on that Kanye vibe. So,
oh my God.
He'll be right at home over there with some of those, some of those gentrified neighborhoods.
The Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving dynamic. What? How does that even work?
Apparently they're very good friends. And remember, All-Star break, when they were doing all that, they were doing that whole thing, acting like they were friends.
They were courting each other in public out here.
Remember, They were so friendly. People know that they were being friendly. They're both coming up on free agency together. And what did both of them do? Stop talking about it. We're just friends. Blah, 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 blah. And what happened? They friended their ass on to the same team. It's like, okay.
It's funny. Stop talking about it. It's not a story. That a lot that relates to pro wrestling in lots of different avenues. But the Lakers seem to be on the verge of landing Kawhi Leonard. I am rapidly refreshing my phone during this recording. It is 8:30 Sunday night as we do this. If it happens live on air, we will stop no matter where we are, and we will talk about Kawhi Leonard shifting the power of the league back to where it belongs, the West Coast, LA, Staples Center.
Look, I don't really care where Kawhi goes. If he goes to LA, cool, right? Because it's a really great team. But regardless of Kawhi holding the balance of power in his hands, similar to Vince McMahon after he thought that he had bought WCW before Shane said that I own WCW, that's cool and all. However, whatever happens, whether it's just AD and LeBron or it's AD, LeBron, and Kawhi, these fucking West Coast games need to tip off at 9:30 or 9, whatever. Not 10:30. If you're going to have most of the time in the league be on that side of the continent, then with all the population and fandom on the other side of the continent, they need to make some adjustments. I'm sorry, the West Coast. That's Pacific
the West
time.
Coast has dominated the NBA for 20 years. Star power wise, win wise, team wise. Why are we changing this now?
Because we're smarter now, in theory, and also 80% of the fucking population lives on the other side of the coast on the earlier time.
Stay their ass up.
If the idea is, hey, we are a business that relies on viewership and consumers, so maybe we want to promote our product where most consumers can stay awake to watch it because people have jobs.
Hey. They just gonna have to learn the life of the Laker fan, get down or lay down.
Life of the Laker fan. Well, I'll put it to you like this: the reason why you have old motherfuckers talking about how great the '80s was is because Boston, New York, Philly. I'm trying to think who else popped up in there at time to time. Who else am I getting at the '80s?
That's it.
Oh yeah. Well, those three of the four biggest teams in the 80s were all on the East Coast in the Atlantic time, so they got to watch.
Detroit at the end.
Detroit as well. So you have all those teams in Central or Eastern and Jordan as well. So those are in perfect time frames to start at 8 o'clock tip-off so people could watch. That's why it was the prime time of the league. And they had one team out there in the West, LA, in the occasional 1 year where Houston, or 1 or 2 years when Houston will pop up at random points. But for the most part, it was LA as the other franchise. So that's why the league blew up. Now we're at this part where so many of the top players in the league are on the West Coast. This is a problem.
Yeah, man. What else happened out here in free agency? They a lot of bums are getting paid, as we alluded to on the last show.
The upper middle class.
I won't call Julius Randle a bum per se, but the Knicks gave him 3 years, $63 million. And Tobias Harris re-signed with the Sixers for 5 years, $180, which is like, that's a Joe Johnson contract, like if there ever was one.
I think that's a Minnesota Joe Johnson.
Yeah,
Joe Johnson at one point was before he signed a contract, the multiple-time All-Star. How many All-Star games has Tobias Harris ever made?
A smooth 0. And he's the third best player on the team. What?
Yeah.
Now that Jimmy's leaving, is that official? Jimmy Butler to the Heat, or is that just kind of speculation?
Well, the way he was talking to Chad Johnson or Chad Ochocinco on Twitter, it sounds like he has made up his mind that he is going to get the sign and trade to Miami.
So somebody didn't want to go to Houston and play with Chris Paul and James Harden? Color me shocked.
Well, this is what I would say about that. If Jimmy Butler decided to show up in Houston, I don't think it would be a problem. Wonder why?
Sure, enlighten us.
Because you already know that just based off of the way all three of them are built, that Chris Paul and Jimmy Butler will get along splendidly. Now, as far as James Harden
thing, about that though,
Absolutely.
Because like I see them both as barkers, and sometimes barkers don't want to be challenged by another barker.
Well, I'll put it like
Somebody
this.
got to fall in line.
Think about how well him and Wade got together in Chicago. That 1.5 years they were in Chicago.
Do you think Wade is more diminished in Chicago than Chris Paul is right now?
I think Chris Paul is smart. I think Chris Paul. The thing with Chris Paul and Harden is Harden don't want to listen to Chris Paul, even though Chris Paul may be annoying, but ultimately he's probably right more times than not because Chris Paul's a basketball genius. The problem is James Harden wants to play the way James Harden plays. Now the thing with Jimmy Butler comes in play is you ain't got to worry about no Jimmy Butler and James Harden beef because the beef gets in it real quick because Jimmy will fight you. And James Harden does not want to fight Jimmy Butler. So that's like so my standing is on that thing being a possible issue is like I don't think it'd be an issue because one, it'd be Chris and Jimmy, and if James Harden wants to break bad, God bless him.
Boy, I just kind of wish it would happen just to see it all blow up like liquid in a chemistry measuring glass. Just a laugh and like point and throw shade at Daryl Morey for not understanding people is the actual value here. And yeah, man, and not spreadsheets. Yeah, man, but. Yeah, we're waiting for all these dominoes to collapse, and Jonas Valanciunas got 3 years, $45 million. I don't know why. Orlando was throwing out money to Al-Farouq Aminu, making him their 9th power forward on the roster.
Seemingly, yeah. Like imagine a league where like guard plays more important than ever, and wing like you need guards and wings and. More or less one or two capable big men and or really competent, right? That aren't stiffs. That's what the league is. That's what the league is right now. And you want to consistently give power forwards all this kind of bread. I don't get it. Like they didn't learn their lesson from when they were out there with Biyombo and Vucevic and Ibaka at the same time. They didn't learn their lesson.
Boy, I'm waiting for this Kawhi news to drop because you know who I want to actually get at the most?
Who?
The Clippers. The Clippers thought LA was theirs. They've had the better team throughout the decade, right? It doesn't fucking matter. You're the Clippers. Laker exceptionalism will live forever. Sorry, bruh. Sorry, Steve Ballmer, Doc Rivers.
It was funny to hear the jump today, and they were talking about how the Nets got rewarded for being competent as a rebuilding organization. So that's why they got Durant and they got Kyrie. So they're happy for them. And I thought to myself, like, what a load of like bullshit fallacy that it's good for that this team rebuilt itself by being a fucking 8 seed, 7 seed in the East.
There was 6 seed, I believe, this year.
Okay, a 6 seed in the fucking East, and then that's the reason why they were rewarded for that. No, they got rewarded for them because Rock Nation. That's why. All this other stuff is bullshit. Like
I am kind of like, and I texted to you earlier, like the league is not really like team versus team right now. It's like all these agencies against each other now, and it's kind of taking some of the fun out of it for me. It really is now just Rock Nation versus Clutch, and then there's CAA like cleaning up the rest.
But is it though? Is it though?
Like at the top, yeah.
But I guess what I mean by that is, like, neither one of these two, like, unless this Kawhi domino drops, like, that's not necessarily. I don't see how that's any different other than the agents are black. That's kind of where I'm at now on that one. Like, it was all good when CAA was out here helping orchestrate Bosh to Miami, Wade to re-sign to Miami, and LeBron to Miami. That was all good and great. Like, people completely put all the blame on LeBron for doing all that, right? But the second, like, it's black owners, and all of a sudden it's like we're talking about it's a proxy war, and it's really LeBron and LeBron's agent, his agency versus on the other end, Rock Nation and Rock Nation's influence, and then you hear the stuff they talk about with Leon Rose or whatever, and Leon Rose stuff you hear about him is like, that sounds like normal agent stuff, so what's really the problem here? So I don't really think that's what you were getting at, but like for me is like when I see other people say that stuff, I get kind of like my antennas go up because I'm like, sounds real dog whistly.
Yeah. I'm looking at it where, like, I see the two teams, right, and they got Lakers on the chest, and then they got Nets on the chest, but, like, when you peel that back, like, they got another jersey underneath. Like, that they all kind of... and then, of course, seeing how, like, Clutch is, like, infiltrated the Lakers prior to even LeBron getting there with the whole KCP filling out the organization and all that stuff. It's like... This is like just like it's so much deeper than we imagine, essentially. And it's just like, oh, great.
Yeah, but they did that with what's his name on the Knicks or in the Nets. What's his name? They somebody that was signed to Rock Nation signed to the Nets last year too. So or this year they just passed too. So like they did the same thing where it's like send somebody out there to be to report back information or how well or not or what the hell's going on with this operation, and then let our top clients decide. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, if you're an agent and you have, that means you don't have only superstar clients. You have, top star, in theory of successful, you have top stars and everybody in the classes below. It's a win-win for you as an agent, right? You get your middle class person paid or whatever else, and then you also can report back with information to your biggest clients.
Right. But we're gonna wrap it up on the NBA talk now, unless something else pops up. But yeah. So
yeah, are you waiting out here on the Jimmy Butler news, or are you waiting on the Kawhi news?
What you think, like, sir? So I'm time stamping that, and I will, let everyone know if they want to skip ahead. But we had the AEW Fyter Fest last night in Daytona Beach, Florida. I was there along with Jeremy and Josh. It was an excellent event in person. The building was just electric, pretty much from start to finish, and just felt like you were amongst like-minded folks, and it was like everyone was rooting for everyone to win, like not win matches, like they were rooting for everybody to do well and everything like that. It was a really refreshing feeling around watching professional wrestling and all that. Overall thoughts on the show, James? From the TV perspective, because I haven't seen it yet.
I thought it was a good show. I thought that the last 3 matches were borderline very good to great, depending on your likes or dislikes or tastes for professional wrestling, whatever. And I think the thing that kind of sticks out to me so far through 2 shows of the 2 big shows with AEW is that they're kind of giving you if you are into this particular thing of wrestling, like they have something for everybody as far as different likes of wrestling. Like if you want spot porn, the Lucha Bros match is right up your alley.
Yes,
if you want a death match, we'll give you the Death Rider out here fucking up Mox or fucking up Janela. If you want a storytelling match that's simple professional wrestling and somebody, you got the Cody match. You're always gonna have the Cody match. He's always storytelling his ass off, even if he's gonna do that dumb shit at the end of the match or post match. Then you have from there you have solid wrestling throughout the card. Like they also have the Joshi match or whatever else. Like so, I thought they kind of had something for everybody. And I think that's good ultimately, because it kind of, if you are it's good for if you're trying to get new eyes on it, or the general fan removed or lapsed from WWE or whatever else, and then they get back into it. It can kind of be like, oh yeah, this is like the kind of stuff I used to like. So here's some of that, or oh, this is something I never really considered. That's cool. But it wasn't nearly on the level of All Out, and I don't think it was trying to, but it was still a really good show. Yeah. It was still a good show.
Yeah. So like when we got to the building, there were so many people there. Like, the line to get in was wrapped all the, like, do you remember the how the hallways looked from last year? Instead of just walking directly in, they had everyone lined up going all the way down, around a corner, around another corner, back around another corner. So, like, I don't know what's up with their staffing and how they're, like, doing with events, but it seems like they have no staff, essentially. They're just like, the building is like just like letting people in. They had a couple people working the building, letting people in, but I felt like I could have walked past their people without a ticket. Like, like maybe it's just a function of that building, and it kind of felt like that last year as well, and that really doesn't have anything to do with AEW. But just seeing like a couple things, like, I don't know how the AEW staff is going to, like, I don't know how deep their staff is. That would be something to watch as far as like the events, but the merch line was just absolutely is almost long. I don't want to say it was as long as the regular line, but the merch line didn't slow down until after the Cody match, and that was hours into the show. And that's when I was able to walk over there and get something with like a 3 to 5 minute wait. And before that, it was like, well, I'm not gonna miss these matches, so I'll just wait. And then and they killed it last night in merch. But watching, as I mentioned, being in the building was just like like you're rooting for this thing to succeed so much, and the crowd will not let anything die. No, essentially, like, even like the stuff that seemed like it struggled, like on Twitter, like even the librarian stuff and
oh my god,
all that stuff, like, people were into it. Everything was getting over in the building.
Yes, because the people that are there are their version of the diehards, right? But the thing for me is, I think now we have because it's 2 shows. It seems to be a trend. Like, there's no reason to ever watch their pre-shows. Like, I mean, that tag match was very, very good at the beginning. The first match with the triple threat between SCU, Best Friends, and Private Party, that was really good in a great showcase for Private Party. But the librarian shit, oh my god, it was death watching on TV. Like, I mean, really bad. And then the backstage stuff with the Fyter Fest stuff they were doing to try to put over like what they were doing from the transition, like from being the Elite over to the BR Live. I mean, I don't watch that stuff, but it was like, I didn't find it funny. Mm-hmm. So, and a lot of people didn't find it funny either. But like, what really got me was like, the librarian thinks death. So someone that doesn't, but the person is not like, that doesn't watch Being Elite every week or whatever, or people, you or whoever else will tell me a few things that happen here and there. Like, that was just death watching.
Yeah. So like we did a podcast driving home yesterday. I don't know when it's gonna like come out, and it was like a review. And what I said about the librarian thing was like, well, they have 2 choices right now. they can drop it cold turkey, essentially, and I think that's what Josh alluded to, because Being Elite tends to, like, if something's not working or is a bit, they'll just, like, get off it or whatever. Or, like, it's going to be a long road to get it over, and just, like, keep doing it. Like, and eventually it will get over, and it's going to stay over eventually when it gets over, but it's going to take a long time to get it over. Well, I would say. Go ahead. Sorry. I was gonna say, I would say, like, as far as like the general pre-show, if you see a match that you think is worth watching, watch it. But if you see like the foolishness, like from a mile away, like you see Leva Bates versus Allie on deck or something like that, like you can probably like hand wave that. So it looks like they're gonna have one match, but I don't know, like. It's the pre-show. There's only so upset I can get about it. So
yeah. Like, I'm just. I think the thing for me is just like, I guess it's also most people's concern is, especially the people that watch that aren't, the hardcore fan base, is like, I can't imagine being somebody that is a lapsed fan watching this pre-show outside of the first tag match and being like, okay, like, they know what they're doing, or this is something I want to watch further. Like, because I believe, I'm trying to think what happened right after, because it felt like it was a double whammy of stuff that was happening. That was like,
Nakazawa and Jabali.
Yeah, like those are back to back. It's Nakazawa and Jabali, and then the librarian matches before that. But I was like back to back, and that just like, I mean, and it was over with the crowd because I remember the matches with Nakazawa last year were over with the crowd, but it just watching is like, yo, this is not a trained professional wrestler, and Nakazawa's here selling for this dude. Like, I will say this: there's a lot of mediocre to crummy in that match, but when that man poured the baby oil on his chest and then did the stomp and did the slide stomp to the senton, I fucking howled.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff, like, and it's a comedy match. Like, I like the match. I thought it was fine. I turned my brain off for it, and I was like, all right, when's the real gonna start? And
they also buried it too. Like, they did the match. They did the match, and I don't know if you saw it, but like they did the match, and then right after the match happens, this is right before they go live for the main show. They cut to a backstage promo where Janela says, or it's not Janela, Moxley says, "Leave that stuff out there. I'm gonna show you how to really use it," or something to that extent.
Yeah,
and then the crowd popped. It was like, these dudes just had a hardcore match. Like, yeah.
Yeah, man. So I don't know. My point of contention is like, all right, at least it's not going to, like, if you're gonna do that bullshit, put it on the pre-show, because if you do it on the main show, then we gotta like dock you for it. So like, we gotta judge you and rip you apart for putting that on your real show. Yeah, but as far as the highlights on the pre-show, like as you mentioned, Private Party was incredible. I've been watching them they got a spotlight on them in the Road to Fyter Fest miniseries, and it was like a 5-minute thing explaining, everything their lives essentially, like in their time in the wrestling business, how they met, how they became a team, how they have wrestled in Hog essentially, and they've had matches with the Hardys, they've done different stuff like that, and these guys they're draft picks right now, and
how long
I
have
think
they been wrestling for?
Not very long. I would probably put under 3 years if I had to guess.
Okay. So I have a question. Do you know their names? It's Isaiah
Cassidy and Mark Quinn.
Mark Quinn. Okay, Mark Quinn's a star. Isaiah Cassidy, he's the guy that's going out there to get the to get the Simpy, but like Mark Quinn is like the Mark Quinn hot tag is already
yes.
it's already off the charts. Okay, so they're spectacular.
Yes,
they're great. Dude, I can't. Dude, I don't know what's gonna happen when they do Young Bucks versus Private Party, but it's gonna be fucking insane.
They're doing it at Hog in July, I believe.
No, I mean for AEW.
Oh, in AEW.
I mean for AEW official, like in one of these semi-main type things, a year from now or whatever else, after they build them up to that level, or 6 months from now, whatever you want to call it. I think they did the right thing. Like, they shine them, they beat them, and then they're going to have to go through the tournament, and they're probably going to be like the quote-unquote Gauntlet Iron Man, the team that
they'll get to like the semifinals or something, and
they're going to make it to. They're going to be the team that's going to shine, up until like the semifinal or whatever else, or losing the final or some shit like that, and you remember like their run.
Yeah, and I thought they executed that match perfectly. I think I went I didn't even rate anything on the pre-show, but I would have probably gave that 3.75 or 4, just because. Yo, these dudes walked in there, and the crowd was like, "Okay, we seen videos of you, but we don't know quite how to go nuts for you." And they made it real easy to go nuts for them, which I can always appreciate.
yeah. I think it's one thing that's also is just different. Like, you come in, right now anyway, in the ring. AEW is really good at showcasing people's strengths and kind of hiding people's flaws. They only wrestled for 3 years. I don't know what they are as a full-on tag team. They wrestled a regular 2 versus 2 tag match, but that match, regardless of how good they are not yet, or how green or not green they are, that definitely was a match to built out as a way to try to hide whatever deficiencies they may have. Now, on commentary, they did a really good job explaining why Isaiah Cassidy tagged out during, because Rich, you always talk about how the WCW triangle tag matches,
yes,
about how they're so stupid. Like, why would you ever tag out?
Yep.
And after is it Mark or Marcus?
I think it's Mark.
After Mark got his ass whooped after his first weigh in, that's his first time in the ring. He got laid out with a huge spot. He was out on the floor forever. It reminded me of like that one Shield match where Roman was laying forever and the crowd started yelling Roman sleeping. Mm-hmm. But Isaiah's getting whooped on and then he goes to his corner and he realizes there's nobody in the corner. You're fucked. So he's looking and he's debating on whether or not he should tag in someone for SEU. And then commentary puts over the dilemma he's in. And I thought it was great that like commentary is helping add to a match, right?
What a fucking concept, James.
And also, like they always talk about, these guys, the lack of psychology and storytelling, and it's like it was so there and obvious in a way. There's like anyone from 100 feet away, it felt like would have also got that. It was realized like the dilemma is like either he's going to die on his sword or he has to tag. He has to do the lesser evil to be able to survive and try to possibly get back in and win. Mm-hmm. So I thought from that perspective, like they showed these dudes like aren't just. And one thing I'm worried about is I haven't looked but am I going to go on Twitter and type in Private Party Spot Monkey and then get furious?
I thought you were going to say Private Party Street Profits. So,
I don't even understand that. I don't even understand that connection because, like, it's not like D'Angelo. I'm sorry, it's not like Dawkins
does anything like
that.
Yeah,
he's a brawler.
Yeah, I haven't typed in Private Party Spot Monkeys yet, but I would encourage any of our listeners to see what you find and share with us if you find anything interesting. And thank you to everybody that listens to the show and everything like that. So on to the main card. Let's get to it. We've been fucking off long enough, but the card opened. Christopher Daniels against Shima. Shima has the big match against Kenny Omega in 2 weeks at Fight for the Fallen, and I thought this was a nice professional wrestling match. And I thought it was a two guys that were veterans with long histories against each other. I was like, okay, I can buy into that. And they had a nice match to open the card. They didn't try to go nuts or anything.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a basic match. I don't know if I would have had Shima kick out of Daniels, the Angel Wings. I don't know if I would have done that, but outside of it, I thought it was a professional. My God, I can't talk. A well wrestled professional match. I probably went 2 3/4 to 3.
Mm-hmm. I went 3.5 on it, and those guys it was just like it's real. Like when I think of basic good wrestling, I'll be like, all right, 3 to 3.5, and then if there's no botches or anything, I'll go with 3.5. So, yeah, Shima looking for it. He's going to face Kenny next. I think that's going to be the match that really shows what he has, available to him. He'll get the main event time. He'll also get, a hell of an opponent. So, and unless you're a super hardcore, into the Dragon Gate scene in Japan, you don't really know who Shima is right now. I've never seen a Shima singles match until last night, and here on One Nation Radio, we're not really with the gatekeeping shit. So, if you haven't seen some before, it's okay to admit that. I feel like one has to say that, and if you're seeing Shima now and you have knowledge of that, feel free to share that with us. So I'd love to know some recommendations now that I've actually seen him in AEW, and of course I'm aware that he has a legendary career elsewhere. So I kind of want to put everything together kind of before I see the match against Kenny.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the match. I think he's going to have more to give than what we saw against Daniels. I mean, I don't know, if watching it on TV, it just felt like Daniels seems to have finally had his age catch up with him. I mean, he looked really sore. It looked like everything he did made him feel like it hurt. So,
mind you, this guy wrestles tag team matches all the time. Now,
yeah, good point.
Him in a singles match, ain't nowhere to run and hide, nowhere to tag out to. So, but up next, we had Riho versus Yuka Nakazawa. Excuse me, Yuka.
What?
Yuka Nagasaki, I believe, and Nyla Rose.
Wait. Yuka Sakazaki.
Okay. Yuka Sakazaki. So in my notes, I just have Yuka. So
okay. Well, they were chanting Yuka all night.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nyla Rose. This match fucking ruled. It seemed like once Nyla Rose came off the top with that knee drop, like Antonio Inoki, like Josh was saying last night, the place, like, the switch got hit, and it was like, okay, we're here now. The event, Fyter Fest, has started, essentially. like, and I'm interested to see what you thought, because you traffic into Josie pretty heavy, and
oh my god,
I thought this was a hell of a fucking match.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good to great match. I probably would have gave it 3 3/4. I don't know. It was kind of rough at the beginning. Like, I don't know how much experience or how green Nyla Rose is, but like, she had a better performance than she had at Double or Nothing. But there's still some work to be done. It felt like a lot of times, like, there was like the timing was off just a little bit, especially at the beginning, because like there's almost like they, had dropped the spot or someone was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and most of it was on Nyla. So, but you're right. After that knee, like, things completely changed, and I like the story of these two small women have no chance, none, against Nyla. But if they were together, they can try to take her out momentarily, and then they can try to then turn to fight each other. It didn't turn into let's fight each other, let's take them out, and then one double crosses the other. They literally said, "No, we're not dummies. If one of us does that, she's gonna wake up. The bear's gonna wake up in his mauling season." So I thought that was a good story that they told throughout. I've heard people say that, like, this could be a long play for Nyla, to where eventually she's kind of like, I'm not saying exactly the same thing, but it's similar to like a Nia or a Corbin, where it's like you have all these gifts, but you don't utilize these gifts, and then eventually Hall of Pain comes around. Like, that could be the thing where, like, what am I doing losing? What the fuck am I doing losing to, like, a Sasha Banks if you're Nia? What the fuck am I doing losing to a Riho, getting pinned? Like, I've had enough of this. And then, like, she unleashes the dragon,
right? Like Cisco.
Also full Cisco shit. Yes. Yeah. So, that's a potential storyline at play. But I do like the fact that Yuka made the save for Rio after Rio got the pin and she was getting whooped on by Nyla. And then, like, after she makes a save, like, Rio's like, no, like, just because we're both petite Japanese women does not mean that we're fucking friends. Like, no, we are
not cool.
Yes. Yeah. And in the face that I don't know if you've seen the face, but like, it's memeable. The face that, like, you can make, it's like the saddest looking shit ever.
I could see it from, like, 100 feet away. Like, she just looked like everyone felt sorry for her after, like, when Rio was like,
yeah. One thing I will say that about Yuka is that, like, the shawl she has over her pants, like the looks almost like a banana peel, like a white banana peel that's over her pants. Mm-hmm. She needs to drop that, because there were a few times in the match where, like, they were slipping and sliding because it's so long that it's like people can step on it and she can step on it at times too. So, like, that's just a botch waiting to happen, and like a bad one. So she needs to drop that. And also, she wasn't wearing that like a year ago.
I think Nyla Rose is going to be able to get a lot of heat.
Oh yeah,
and I felt it in the building. I heard people catcalling for Rio. I heard people catcalling for Yuka, just like yelling out their names, cheering like
the actual Japanese fans.
Yes, like Yuka, Rio. So, like, to fuck with everybody, I was like, Nyla, like, just like, and like, no one else, like, so
that's funny.
And it was like, all right, I can see how they're gonna how she's gonna be able to, like, if she beats up the right woman on the roster, if she beats the right one, she's gonna be a great heel, and then she's gonna be a great babyface eventually, because people are going to eventually come around to what she does. And like, if she does stuff like that Antonio Inoki knee drop and all those phenomenal feats of strength where she's catching people, she's gonna be a lovable monster eventually.
Like, for her, and let's just say if she, they just give her a steady diet of babyface Joshis to wrestle for a while, right? Mm-hmm. If you're someone like Yuka Sakazaki, who's been in Tokyo Joshi, and like, and Aja Kong is there, and Freelance is there from time to time, like, there's a wealth of Aja Kong matches to go over and watch, see a monster versus a babyface in peril. There's literally dozens, if not hundreds of those matches that Aja has done over the last 20 years. So 20, 30 years. So, like, if they set her up with that, and that's her path, like, she's going to get pretty good pretty fast. Yeah. I would think so, because you got really capable women that have wrestled in that sort of style and that basic, simple story. And, like, that's a story that's going to stand the test of time. Giant versus David versus Goliath is always going to stand the test of time. So, whether it's Braun Strowman versus Sami Zayn, or it's or it's
Shawn Michaels versus Sid,
Shawn Michaels versus Vader, or there's always going to be there. So that's what they have to work with.
And I was pleased at the amount of time they got on that too. So I really liked this match. I was 4 1/4 on it. So
how long did that go?
I don't have a time. I would have to pull that up. But up next, the men's 4-way with Hangman Page, Jimmy Havoc, MJF, and the Jungle Boy. So, to me, this was the weakest match of the night. I thought they did some good things in the match. Of course, MJF fried the audience ahead of time, with his promo ability. And I believe, James, you said that he was going to, like, win Best Talker on accident if they let him just cut a couple promos here and there.
Well, no, I said, I think I said that he's gonna fuck around and win, like, Best on Interviews and only doing like 4 promos on AEW, something like that. Yeah. So
breaking news.
Yeah.
Taj Gibson has signed a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Knicks. Y'all back, Knicks fans?
Oh, okay. I have bigger news. Jimmy Butler is officially going to get that sign and trade to Miami.
Well, he gonna play hard as hell for them boys. Like, look, that's on brand. Jimmy Butler playing hard as hell with the Miami Heat, who play hard as hell for the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. Congratulations, Kendrick. Petty. But anyway, back to this fatal 4-way. So Hangman Page ended up getting the victory here, and I got annoyed when I saw Hangman Page come out. They were blowing off pyro like he was Roman Reigns or something. And there was like a similar feeling at WrestleMania when Roman Reigns came out for this regular 10-minute match, and they were blowing off pyro like he won the main event of WrestleMania, and it was the same feeling. It was like, I don't think this guy is like talking about Hangman Page right now. I don't think he's on the level right now. like it's not like, I don't see him as that kind of star.
Wait,
like,
what kind of level do you what exactly do you mean? Like, what do you think they think of him, and what do you think he actually is? Or let me phrase that. What do you think they think he is?
I think they think he is a future star. Right now, he could be in a position to just be the sacrifice to win the title, because you see, like, you can't put, for whatever political reasons and optics, you can't put Cody near the title right now. You can't put Kenny near the title right now. But you can put it near a Jericho or someone like that, so you need someone for him to beat. Now, he's getting that position, but I don't know if he's going to be in a position to take advantage of it, because people just don't see him like that, and he's not impressing right now to be seen like as a serious person. And I think I don't think it's going to happen because I have faith in this company being smart. I don't think they're going to put the title on him because I think it would be a catastrophe if they made him.
Wait, you mean
champion.
right now?
Yes, like at All Out.
Okay, so.
But the way they're blowing off the pyro and all that, it's like.
Oh, you're okay. So you're thinking like the pyro is indicating that he might actually be a real legitimate player right now, as opposed to 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 months from now.
Right.
Okay. All right. So it's funny that you say that because after the match, Finishell hit me up, and he said, "I just don't see it," in kind of similar way that you just said about him being their champion. And I was like, "What do you mean you don't see him as being the champion? You're the first person I've heard ever legitimately think that AEW would actually belt him up like at All or Nothing or All Out." So I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Where did this come from, Dave?" And then now you're saying it's like maybe there's something I'm missing where I don't, or maybe I'm thinking like that's so ridiculous that like I'm just missing the breadcrumbs they're dropping. Maybe that's what it is.
Like I would just say like. Just look kind of like at like they put him over strong in the Battle Royal as a surprise entrant, like with his music, and they gave him that huge comeback there. This joint here, I think they could have easily gave MJF the win and then had MJF challenge him at Fight for the Fall and be like, "You were in the same match as me. You lost." Or he doesn't even have to pin Paige. He could pin Roll Up Jimmy Havoc or some shit, right? And be like, put your shot on the line and then whatever. But then they announced today that Hangman Page will be fighting Kip Sabian at Fight for the Fall. I'm like, that's not connected. Yeah. Like, Kip Sabian's like not someone you're going to, and no offense to Kip Sabian, like, Hangman Page versus Kip Sabian, it's a cold match with no like real like they'll build it on over the next couple weeks, but just announcing it right now is strange, especially seeing who you can put in there with Hangman Page to make him look like a superstar. My concern is he does not look like a superstar at all through the first two shows.
Well, okay, one thing about the Kip Sabian thing. Kip Sabian was during that match was doing guest commentary.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so he was there for that, like, and they said that like he was going to take on the winner of that match. So,
okay, I take that back then.
So then from there, as far as like you saying MJF and doing MJF and Paige, I think that you save that. I think that like once I feel like MJF and Paige is what you do after All Out because Paige ain't winning in no fucking All Out. So either you know, I wouldn't do this, but let's say if this were another company, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, they have him and JF just come out there and fuck Paige at the end of the match between Jericho.
Oh man!
Right, and then he chases after him. They could still do that. I think I would rather them not. Like I think that you save fuck finishes for like. I mean, this would be a match that would be considered either semi or main event of All Out, but. I kind of say that like you kind of stay away from the fuck finishes. I think you keep fuck finishes for like TV.
I think you stay away from fuck finishes for like a year in this promotion, like, and when you do that, like you pull that Band-Aid off, that shit's gonna sting the first time it happens.
This is what I'll say. If you're going to get into the fuck finish business, it has to ultimately mean something. So him screwing him in the Jericho match would make sense. But for me, I would stay away from that and keep that stuff only on TV.
Yeah,
like no one wants fuck finishes on New Japan shows. No one wants fuck finishes at takeovers, and you are more like that than you are the main roster WWE. So, you know your audience. Your audience does not want to see fuck finishes. So if I were them, I would say you do that, and then you kind of start off. You do All Out, and then like you immediately hit television with Paige versus MJF. That's what I think. I think there's money in that is like those are the two top mid-carders. And I feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like there is a top tier of like, we always talk about.
Oh, there's a class. There's definitely class.
We always talk about like the Tanahashi, Okada, Naito, Ibushi level. Kenny used to be in a level when he was still in Japan. And like there is Cody, Jericho, Moxley, and Kenny. Like there's a top four, and then like they're and then I mean. If you want to include the Young Bucks as an act as far as top acts, and then they would also be the fifth act or whatever. They'd be in that top five for acts, but I just talking about singles guys.
Right, and anything below that, and I think that the middle is actually like very deep and intriguing, like even more than I thought, with the addition of Darby Allin now. And
is he officially signed, or was that just because I didn't know if that was a
he signed AEW?
Okay,
so
well, for the year we're going to have him before he has to retire from dying. Jesus Christ.
So, but yeah, the Fatal 4 was cool. I think I gave it like a 3.5, but I didn't really I didn't think it was great or anything. I thought Jungle Boy was.
Most of the show most of that match is about Jungle Boy.
Yeah,
really, most of that whole thing is about Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy almost killed himself, but
that movie did that shit popped everybody. I don't know what the fuck that was.
I thought it was a great move until I was like, oh my god, he's going to land directly on his fucking head. But the second before then, that split second before, and I was like, that's a cool move. And then also I'm just like watching and just in horror. It was like, oh no, And one thing with this show is like there were plenty of moments for it was near tragedy. So they need to tighten that up.
Breaking news: Al Horford has reached a 4-year, $109 million deal with the 76ers.
He's taking because Jimmy's gone, and because wait, hold on, is he signing and trading there?
I don't think so. I don't know how they got the cap to do this.
Oh well, you got to remember. They haven't paid Embiid yet. Haven't paid.
No, Embiid got paid.
Okay, well, haven't paid
Simmons hasn't been paid. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So maybe that can help Embiid, and all the times that he doesn't play or whatever goes on goofy with his health, they still have another big guy that's capable.
Yeah, is there a better 4-5 defensively than Horford and Embiid together?
No.
The closest thing would have been Draymond and Durant together, but that don't exist no more.
That's gone. It's over.
Yeah,
this man went to the Nets. I don't get it. But whatever. Up next,
it is fun. Well, hold on. It is funny after last year's was that the Eastern Conference or semifinals between the Celtics and the Sixers? It is funny that they were able to win that series because
Al
Horford could guard Simmons, right? So easily because Simmons can't shoot, and now it's like, well, we'll take him off the table. We will never have to deal with that again.
Yeah. That boy Simmons. Cody and Darby Allin. I thought this was an incredible match. As I mentioned, in the preview to the Social Suplex preview of Fyter Fest, Darby Allin is a guy I don't identify with him at all. I don't we have nothing in common. The opposite of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown. But
oh my god.
But he fascinates me for whatever reason, and I feel like he gives me a look into a world that I know nothing about, right? And
okay, so enlighten me what that world is, because I don't watch any of the any of the AEW promo stuff that's built towards their shows. I just watch the shows.
Yeah, it's all right, they talked about his outlook on life, and he just doesn't trust anybody, and he's half dead inside, and he's like a skateboarder who takes all these risks, and he has a very Hardian vibe to him, like Jeff Hardy or whatever, down to the punishment that he'll put himself through to do whatever. I think he's a phenomenal seller, and
that's not selling. That's a shoot. That paint is a shoot. Talking about his selling. It's not selling if it's real.
Yeah, and he's just so quick in the ring and pulls you in, and I really like Darby Allin. I think he's a superstar waiting to happen. And he's going to be a guy that I think a lot of young folks connect to that watch AEW. I would take extreme care with him because he can be as big as they want. You got him, and Jungle Boy is your young, and Private Party is your super young, 4 or 5 years from now type guys. Like he's a quality like draft pick for the future. I feel like.
Yeah.
Hopefully he makes it there, but you know.
Jeez. Yeah. Like we like. It's funny. Like this is my first time ever watching Darby in a full match. I believe, and people are talking about him already, like how people were talking about like Ospreay in 2016. Like, is he going to make it? Is he going to make it 10 years from now? He's going to be around 10 years from now. So I mean, obviously, I'm not. He's a lot smaller than Ospreay, but you get my point. Is like this daredevil is out here doing wild shit, and it's like you got to rein that in, bro. It's like you only got one head, neck, and skull, so you only got so. Yeah, I think the risk taking. I mean, because the biggest match of his life, so I'm going to cut him some slack because now he was out here like doing. He wasn't the one that was out here taking an unprotected chair shot. He wasn't the one that's out here, doing head drops. Like, he was just doing big bumps. Yeah. I would say this, though. It always reminds me and takes me back to, like, the Sasha Banks Hell in a Cell match where she was bumping like a mad woman because she's a mad woman. Where it's like, look, I understand that this is a gigantic match and a big match, so therefore you should... You want to do more stuff in a match to add to the stakes of it. I understand that. But you are rail thin, and there's no meat on those bones, and there's nothing on those bones besides bones. And you taking bumps like that, that's a lot of punishment that people that are bigger in size, have more around their bones, can sustain. Like... It's the Mick Foley thing. People think that Mick Foley was able to take that kind of punishment and do it for longer and take those kind of risks in part because of the way his body was shaped. Like, and when you're real thin, there's nothing to help absorb that kind of trauma. So enforce.
You can't get those bones back.
Right. So I mean, hopefully he's not doing this every time he's on AEW television because that's not healthy.
I've heard he's had matches with Walter, and Walter like beat the shit out of him before. I haven't seen the match, but like he's wrestled everybody. Essentially, he was an Evolve guy and everything. So
what you're telling me is that like there may be a shot or video footage of Walter touching this man's heart.
Yes. Yes. But back to the match, like with Cody, like I thought this was incredible. Amazing story here. Cody's like just like the literally the opposite of Darby Allin. When I saw the match like announced, it was like I don't fucking get it at all. Like it's like whatever. And then you see like the entrance, and then Darby Allin like is just staring at this man who has everything. He has it all. Like he's the golden guy. Is like the crowd loves him. He's EVP, and he has his woman with him. And Darby's just like this black soul that's there. Like but like he's like all right, I'm gonna make a name off of you, guy. And no matter what Cody ended up doing to this guy, and Cody ended up snapping at different points during the match. Like why hasn't my offense like finished this little fucker? Like and
right.
He could not beat that man. And I thought that was when I figured out what they were doing, I was like, this is awesome. Like
for me, it was almost if there was a time machine that I can go get like 2000 like late 2000 heel 2013 heel Randy Orton and have him have a match against 1-2-3 Kid. Like the updated version of 1-2-3 Kid, like that's what I imagine that match would be like. And the whole idea is like we're trying to get him over in a similar fashion to when he beat Razor. Like we're not going to beat him because that chill. We're not going to go there yet. But like if we're going to give him something to say like this dude has something to him and give it a draw, like that's what I imagine the match would be similar to. And it was funny because I thought about the Randy Orton stuff of like he's just working slow, methodical, and he's working at his own pace. He don't give a damn about these fans. He just wants to beat this dude and just show that he's he's just he can do whatever he wants. And then all of a sudden, then he breaks out the Garvin Stomp, and then he does like the Randy Orton pin where he'll front cover and he drop that forearm across his face and just lean up. I was like, okay, Cody, okay. But yeah, like for me watching it on TV, like the first beginning of the match was fine. Then the middle just dragged, and then once you kind of like crowd woke up realizing like, oh my god, this might go towards the draw, and people started seeing like it's going to get to the draw. Like that's when it got great.
And
so
you know why I think it was so effective too? It was because it wasn't the draw didn't just come out of nowhere. It was like all throughout the night they were announcing match times.
Right.
And I don't know if they did this at Double or Nothing. And
they did not that I remember.
Right.
No.
And I thought it was effective because the first time I noticed it was in the Nyla Rose match. Like, and I was like, oh, I like that. Like whatever. And then you saw it. Like they set the stage for this. This is what we talk about insurance. This created insurance. Like, all right, this can happen now.
Yeah, and also the thing that it helps them with is they don't want to, at least early on, the word is they don't want to do fuck finishes and nonsense. Well, that's what the time limit draws for. Is that's the way to get out of it. Like, you're not gonna be mad at the booker. I mean, unless they start drawing you to death, right?
Yeah,
but like they're not gonna be unless they abuse it, like, and you treat it responsibly, like you can get value out of. All right, we'll run the match back later, and you want to see it, or make you want to see a match more than you thought. Like this Darby Allin Cody match. For this match, like, okay, it's a cool match. I never want to see it. Like, I want to see it again.
Yeah, and it's not even something that I need to necessarily see soon. Like, they could come back to this in a year or whatever, like, and be like, all right, run it again. And imagine if they do another draw. And
they can put that on TV. They could put that on TV when they start this off in the first month, and then people will be in on this, and then like people that didn't watch Fyter Fest might be like, I don't get it, but there's a story there now.
Like, and the deal is like, he was dead to rights essentially if there was more time, but he didn't lose, right? Next time he could have Cody dead to rights or whatever, and then what do you have? A third match where you can finally put the guy over, and guess what? A star is born. Like, so,
I think the play for Darby Allin ultimately is like to get him. How old is he again?
I will look that up.
He's probably young,
very young,
but. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you take a bump like that at 30. But I think that the play ultimately is to get him elevated, to get him in the mix with, like, 6 months from now he's fighting MJF. Like, that is, or a bunch of people I want to see like slap the shit out of MJF. But you get my point. Like, ultimately, like everybody. You want him in that middle. You want him in that mid card hunt right now. Like, and dude, like that could be a future feud for him right now. Like Allen versus Jungle Boy. Like that could be like that could be a thing for multiple years.
Darby Allin was born in 1997, so he's either 21 or 22.
Yeah,
right now. So
yeah,
young stars. So yeah, up next. After, how can I forget this? After the match, the draw happens, and Darby comes in and out of the body bag. I went 4.5 on this. He comes in and out of the body bag and everything like that. Does the draw and kind of like slinks and disappears. I wish they would have kind of did more with that, like had him stand up with Cody essentially, and either Cody can be like, I respect you, or something like that. I don't know. Like I wanted a little bit something more there, but maybe they were just trying to minimize that for what happened next.
Do you want to hand him a house mic and he says, I respect you, Booker Man?
No.
Oh, okay. I mean, just wondering.
All it takes is the look. All would have taken was the look, essentially.
Okay.
Like, and they basically and to tie that in, when the British Bulldog beat Bret Hart at SummerSlam 92, he was either high or whatever out of his mind, and he was like just so happy or whatever.
I believe the story is that he was high on crack the night before.
Correct. And Bret Hart like strung together that match or whatever, and then at the end, Bret was really trying to get the Bulldog to look at him to essentially like make the audience cry, essentially. But Bulldog was just caught up in the celebration, just like whatever, and never looked at him or whatever. Like, so I thought that could have benefited from like a look. I don't know, maybe I missed it because it wasn't on TV or whatever, or I didn't.
Well, I this is what I will say. It could have been worse as far as the Bret Hart thing, like. Someone could have told Earl to tell him to get the fuck out of his ring.
God damn it. So Sean Spears comes out. He has
a different Sean.
A different Sean. He comes out. Has the mohawk, of course, a new hairstyle, and he looks fucking jacked. Do you see that? What this man look like in the shirt now?
Yeah, he looks kind of like how he looked when he was in NXT, like the 2014 edition when he was out here tagging with Jason Jordan.
Yeah, like this man been in that weight room. Like, yeah. I don't know what the wellness policy in AEW is, if there is one.
Speaking of wellness policy, you see, we'll get to it probably later, but do you see Dalton Castle's back?
Yeah. So Cody turns around and gets waffled with a steel chair in the dome piece. Cody has his hands down. Controversy ensued because we don't see these in wrestling too often anymore, pretty much anywhere in the world. It sounded off with that tin, and the metal piece looks like it like wrapped around his head, and he was bleeding in the back of his head. I was sitting so far away. Of course, when we found out he was bleeding, I was like, before the match started, I was like, so what 1985 shit is Cody gonna do tonight? It didn't happen, or whatever. I mean, he went to a time limit draw, but whatever. I was like, this fucker can't help himself from blading. But then I realized he wasn't blading when I watched it back.
At first, like, he got hit, and I was like so disgusted. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You're doing headshots in 2019, you goddamn dummies. And then, like, all of a sudden, there's a pool of blood. I was like, did he blade? And then you see the replay. I was like, "Oh, he didn't blade. The bottom lip of the from the top part of the chair ended up catching him on the back."
Yeah.
So then, after the match, anyway, they say that like, well, the seat was gimmicked, but that ain't what got him. What got him was the lip part. So it's like, okay, so you couldn't gimmick that part because. And then it's like the answer is whatever the answer is. Ultimately, it's like maybe we should just not do any of this.
Yeah, I think the deal was like Cody and Sean Spears I can trust Sean Spears to do it. He's a professional, or whatever, and he just whiffed that's like. And I think Tony Khan said we can build the world's safest airplane, but it's still like somebody got to fly that shit. Right.
And I don't necessarily blame anybody as much as just. Let's just not do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah, I didn't like me. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, these people gonna do whatever they do in the ring and all that. But it was like, wow, it was a moment. And then the only thing I didn't like was when I watched it back on commentary, they were talking about CTE testing and stuff and all that. I was like, stop. Like, that's not the road you want to go down with that.
Did they say CTE testing?
Yes. And I'm like, first, someone has to die before you can do CTE testing, as far as I know right now. And B, they could have said a bunch of other things like, he may have to go in concussion protocol. He may have to, how will this affect him going forward? Just like different things like that they could have done rather than
they could have talked about the injury similar to how they talk about like how Hell in a Cell changes you after going through it, or cage matches or whatever else.
They could have done that too. Rather than saying CTE and then people holding up a flag and say, yeah, CTE, that could happen to somebody. I'm like, I feel like it was like you hung red meat for people that want to like tear you down right there by mentioning that CTE stuff.
Yeah, I would say this: if you're doing a spot that you're going to have people on commentary come out and say CTE about, then maybe, just maybe, you don't do the fucking spot.
There is always that option.
Yeah, there's always the option of not hitting people in the fucking head or dropping them on their head. Like, I mean, like that's kind of where I'm at on it. Like, just don't do it. Like, they do have the old school vibe of I don't know. They could have done something else. There's a million things you could do to where you could have put them on the shelf or what have you. And the thing is, like, when is the Fight for the Fallen show?
2 weeks.
So Cody, in theory, was supposed to, let's say he doesn't get his head busted open, right? He doesn't get hard away by the chair. In theory, he's supposed to have. How devastating was this injury if he's going to just go and fucking wrestle 2 weeks later at against the Young Bucks, right? So it's like the timing was different. It would have made more sense. Like if there was a like let's say this happened after All Out, or not All Out, but Double or Nothing, leading into this. It's like, okay, so he's been gone for a month. That explains why he can quote unquote recover. Blah 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 blah. Like, but you know, you take a shot like that, and then there happens to be blood, which makes it, which even builds even more. Like, I mean, they're gonna have something for their eventual thing, and I mean, they do have a story when they show on Twitter with I'm always gonna call him Ty. I'm sorry, but like when Sean Spears put up the thing about how he's pissed that Cody called him a good hand, like instant story, right? Instant story and middle thing. It's like,
and also they were like tag team partners like from years ago, and like this is like gonna be Cody's like his personal story that he gets to do. Yeah, essentially.
Like Cody is almost one of the thing where it's like I'm just gonna wrestle like all people that are like he's trying to go like the Spider-Man route, like everybody that like is revolved or been in parts of my career, I'm just going to wrestle on AEW, and like so I have an easy story, and we can just tear into each other eventually. Like so so Cody is gonna have like a nice little run for a while. I mean, I think it's really cool how he's set up in that way. Like he's the storytelling guy, kind of. He's a story old school NWA Attitude Era-ish kind of. I guess I have to say Attitude Era because they're fucking headshot. But so you kind of have him as that right now, and then you have Ambrose as like this fucking maniac who's doing all these, you know, he'll do whatever it takes to whoop your ass, right? To bust your head. So, and then like Kenny and the Young Bucks, like they're kind of in some type of utility role right now. Like I think Kenny's going to kind of get out of that heading into All Out, but like they all have like these roles that are kind of cool right now, and like they kind of have separate identities as opposed to like, oh yeah, these are the top 5 guys, and they're all doing kind of different things. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, going forward, it looks like it's going to be Spears and Cody heading forward. It should be interesting to see what they can come up with, because there's nothing that's going to motivate you like one to prove something. So those who like that old Ryan Kendrick, something to prove.
Wow. So after this, right? Like, what do you think? Where do you think ultimately, like in the hierarchy, he kind of Sean Spears kind of lands after this Cody thing?
I think he's like essentially going to be the top like mid-carder, like that's a heel. Like this made him a heel now.
Like even above MJF, or do you think he'll be like in that, or he'll be in the top of the mid-card in that mix?
He'll be at the top to start, then with the idea of like eventually he's going to go upside Jungle Boy's head. Eventually he's going to go upside like, you know, Darby's head. Eventually he'll go upside Heyman will have to fight him at some point, like different shit like that. So he's going to he's gonna be a good hand, like, but I think he's gonna be like a lot more violent for some reason. Like there's there's a look that I saw on him last night that was just like he looks way more swole. He has the different haircut, and he looks just like he has no soul, and he's intense. So.
You said you think he'll be more violent. You said it's because of the look. It's like, no, it's because he bounced the fucking chair off Cody's head.
Right,
like,
and then show him what the fuck he's capable of like that. Like, he's going to lay a motherfucker out. Cody had 12 staples or some shit in his head. Luckily, no concussion.
Here's another thing, right, that I don't like them doing. They came out and said that, or either Cody said it or Tony Khan said it. One thing I did not like them saying was, immediately after he got the staples, they said he had no concussion. It's like, motherfucker, like, I don't know how many people know about how concussions work, but like, just because you don't have a concussion, like, right that fucking moment after the immediate trauma does not mean you did not suffer concussion, or you're not going to have symptoms the next morning, or a day, or a couple days after. Like, that's not how that works, right? So, like, I didn't like them coming out and trying to like, say, like, oh, well, he has no concussion, nothing to see here, move on. Like, no, like, it's okay. Just say, look, man, mistakes were made, and we'll move on from there. Like, because if this shit pops up later, that if a situation like this comes up later, like leaves a huge opportunity for something else to pop up on the back end, where it's like, oh yeah, like he had this late onset concussion, and now like we can't use this dude because we, you know, and people are gonna look at you crazy. So I don't think that was a good idea for them to come out there and say that, and like that declarative anyway.
So up next, it was the Elite against the Lucha Bros and the Laredo Kid, and these fuckers came out dressed as Ryu and Ken. the building turned over when that shit happened. Like, I heard that Street Fighter music, I was like, these guys are fucking geniuses. Like Kenny was like, yeah, like that's why the videos or whatever let up. Like Kenny was like, yeah, I got y'all some new gear since y'all like we didn't get your regular gear. Well, I took care of that or whatever. Yeah. And when you see them going around in the fighting stance, like you're in the Mortal Kombat, or excuse me, like you're in Street Fighter, I was fucking like I just died laughing. Like they're so self-aware. They're almost like the opposite of what everyone thinks they are. Like, it's like, bro, I love the Bucks. I love Kenny. Like, this shit was great. Like Kenny was dressed up as Akuma, and of course,
like this. Okay, so when did you realize, or at what point do you realize that Kenny was gonna be Akuma?
Josh like told me immediately because I can't see like that. So like it's like, oh, his hair is red. Like
no. I meant like, did you realize, or did y'all like, did it come to you that like, oh my god, Kenny is going to come out as Akuma? Like after, like, it's for me, like the second those two came out as Ryu and Ken, I was like, oh, he's gonna be Akuma.
No, yeah, I didn't know what Kenny would be.
Like, okay, that's what I immediately assumed, and then like he came out, I was like, dude, like, I don't give a damn how much money he makes. I don't care like what platform he's gonna be on. Kenny Omega refuses to not have the worst fucking hair you've ever seen. Dude, he had it up in a bun, and the dot. Like, do you see how the dot was getting on the mat every time he took bumps?
Nah.
Yeah, like that wasn't blood that was on that mat. That was his spray job.
Wow.
Like it was. Yeah, I was like, yo, Kenny, you bugging, bro. Like.
It's like the hair gonna match the gear or the aesthetic, when it comes to him. But I fucking love this match. This is Rich Ladders Pro Wrestling, flying all around. And the Lucha Bros, when they came out, I loved their music. And this is actually another Hangman point that I came and the guy that was sitting next to Josh on the other side, like we were talking about it. It was like, you can just feel it, like when certain music comes, and then when Heyman's music plays, like you don't like feel that shit. Like when it plays, like Stone Cold Steve Austin,
that Western shit. That shit was
like if you're like Austin, if you're The Rock, like, and this one's just like, like it's just smooth. Like, and there's nothing wrong with smooth, but if you're like, I don't know, it don't connect.
I think it worked better. I think that music worked better, or Hangman's music worked better in New Japan than it does here, at least so far. Like it just, I don't think you watch. I think you only saw is it Darby Allin match the one you've seen TV copy of?
Right, I saw that, and I saw like half of the 6-man.
Okay, well. We talked about how NXT is like they've chosen what the theme of their soundtracks to be, right?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much like.
Did you like the Fyter Fest one?
It is Triple H is picking out like The Rock. He is curating The Rock selection soundtrack, and like, look, I like Triple H's case for that, but like ultimately, like look at where most of the streams are going, and look at what the charts look like. That's not representative of what the youth or pop culture is really into.
Bro, we were cranking the whole night to the theme song or whatever in the crowd.
Oh, because they were playing that.
They were playing that all throughout the night.
That's what I was getting at. Is like AEW on the other hand, they're more in tune with what is actually being played around, and it's like that little thing there shows me, or that little thing there is like, it's interesting. I'm not saying it's indicative of anything, but I think it's interesting. It's just something to kind of keep your like, oh, okay, like the small thing is kind of like, okay, that's interesting. Like they kind of, and then their music, I mean, I think it's cool that for some of them, like Yuka Sakazaki, at Double or Nothing, she came out to her Tokyo Joshi Pro music, the that nonsense, as like whatever. But then like she has her own music now, so like I think it's cool that first show in we'll play the hits, and then like now we're going to transition to like what you're going to be here now. Like they're not calling it the Dirty Deeds, they're calling it the paradigm shift and stuff like that. Right. So I just something to note that I thought was interesting as far as, but yeah, I do like the Lucha Brothers music.
Yeah,
and I do like the fact that like they like another thing I like about them is like they come out and they're in the fucking warm ups.
Yes, I fucking love that shit.
They're in the warm-ups. Like
we going to work. Like
yeah,
like we coming out here to fuck somebody up. But I thought this was absolutely incredible. Laredo Kid was awesome. Kenny and the Bucks were awesome. Like that Ryu and Ken shit, that shit bought me that bought a bunch of real estate with me. And real quick, who did you like between Ryu and Ken in the game?
I always pick Ryu.
Okay, I always pick Ken. So
see, look. Jingoism. That's pure jingoism on your end. I just like, okay, well, they both work the same. It's like I'll just pick the guy that's like the first player. Yeah. Like normally in the screen was always like the first player, then Ken was second.
Mm-hmm. I always like the red. I always like the red gi. So thought that was cool. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that's another part about it. Is like I never really saw many martial arts where people had the red gis.
Right.
Like, and I did Taekwondo when I was a kid, so I was like, I'll take the white.
Yeah. This was 5 stars. Like I don't know. I'll never get sick and tired of this match. This style match. It's real hard to fuck these up, and I think you can only fuck them up when you're not reading the temperature of the room. And I thought that they had the crowd eating out of the palm of their hands the whole time, and it was just like, wow, what else can they do? Oh, they topped it. Oh, they did a kick out. Oh, everyone's still with them. Oh, everyone's still going crazy. Oh, everyone's like watching these motherfuckers fly all around. Oh, there's a comeback. There's a fucking shuriken or whatever, the Hadouken shit, and it was just like, I loved it, especially in the building.
I hated the Hadouken thing because it's like, come on, guys. Like, I would say this: if they had gave them a double palm strike in their midsection, and they both fell off of that, I can be okay with it. But like, they literally sold for the fucking plasma for the invisible plasma fireball. Like, okay, all right, sure, but there's too much shit happening in that match to even count.
I can't even recap this shit.
I'm not trying to review it or whatever else. Like, story? Like on commentary before the match started, they literally called it it's like an all-star game.
Yes,
that's what they said.
It's a fucking all-star game. That's great.
I was like, see, like at least look, sure, fine, it's exhibition. They just out here doing shit, and I don't really know how to rate the match. Like, I would give it a customary 4.5. Like, that's typically how I give great at this point with NXT and like their tag matches. That's kind of where I am with that's kind of how I am. Like, you give me a kick-ass tag match and it's not like the best thing I've ever seen in my life with some huge story and like mega gigantic kickouts, I'll just give it a customary 4.5. Call it a day. Like, what? So if people like, what do you give the Double or Nothing match between the Young Bucks and the
4 3/4?
4 3/4. Okay, so like if you want to give it 5, it's 5. If you want to give it 4 3, cool. If you want to give 4.5, give it 4. Like for me, it's like it's whatever. I turn my brain off. I was just watching just spot. I just watching spot porn at that point. Yes. I was like, this is awesome. And then but
like, there were six-man tag Nirvana.
There are certain things with the camera angles like that. Oh yeah, they did a better job overall on the night than at Double or Nothing, but they still struggle mightily at trying to catch action that is like dives and flips and stuff like that. They're still very bad. They're still bad at that and miss stuff. So, and one thing I thought that they were not good at is because they're holding a lot of the work is done from the hard cam when they're not constantly switching, like, let's say WWE. One thing that they are not as good at that compared to WWE is if they're shooting from the hard cam, they know how to focus the hard cam on exactly what you need to focus on, and like never mind the shit that's happening outside the ring that will distract from the match. Like, there are plenty of times during the match on the TV copy where you see Laredo Kid's in the ring and it's his turn to get the heat on him, and like, because the Lucha Bros have both been laid out on the ringside, you'll see the Lucha Bros because like it's almost like they're trying to figure out what they're going to do next because it's quote unquote their turn coming up soon. Like, you see them standing on the apron, you're standing against the apron, both of them, and they're like communicating or whatever. So it's just like, why am I seeing this? So like, and I'm sure from you watched it live in the building, it's something you don't even think about because like whatever, right? Because you're just watching the match and like people take breaks on the outside or whatever, but it's like certain things that were happening in tag matches were like distracting that were happening on the floor. It's almost like if you're watching like a Royal Rumble match, and then like let's say the 2018 Women's Royal Rumble match, where like there were a bunch of times where like women were just going underneath the bottom rope, and they were hitting cues trying to get back in. Like you'd be distracted if you saw a hard shot of camera and it's wide out and you can see people laying on the floor from the sides. Like it would be distracting. So they need to try to figure out how to not do that.
And also from the in-building perspective, and this was the thing all night, they weren't showing the action on the screen, so there were like some chance the whole thing, and it was tough to see everything when someone dive out the ring.
Like Kevin Dunya, huh?
Yeah, so like I wouldn't be able to see like actually what they're falling on or whatever like that, and then they would show a replay on the screen, and everyone would cheer like, "Yay, leave it up!" And then it's like, "Get the screen, get the screen."
That's what they were cheering.
Yes, that's what they were cheering throughout different times, like throughout the night.
I don't understand the need. I don't understand the need for people to. Regardless of how big or small a building is, if you're above a story above the ring, right, you are going to need a screen to be able to catch some action that you missed because there are people doing a bunch of athletic shit at a fast pace and diving here and there. I don't give a damn what company it is. So when Kevin Dunn does not put shit on the or like the Tacoma Dome show that people were talking about how like there's no Titantron above head or Jumbotron above the rings, so they don't put it on the Titantron or whatever else. Like you are hindering the quality of your show. And in that particular situation, I've been in that building before. Mm-hmm. Just last year, the CEO show. That show is big, or that building is big enough to where if you're sitting in a certain seat, like you're going to miss some action. So put the damn screen up.
And where we were sitting was kind of like where we were sitting. All right, like remember think about where we were last year. Like, if you're watching on TV, it's up and then over, but on the floor, kind of like we were like a row or two off the ground. So it was like we're kind of looking across, trying to see whatever. And I can see I'm directly behind the turnbuckle, like just extended like 100 feet out or whatever, like 200 feet out. And it was really tough.
200,
yeah,
you weren't that far.
Like maybe like 100 feet or whatever. I don't know. And it was like, well, I can see a lot of this stuff, but I can't see all of it. So I think, if I could suggest anything, not that they'll listen, but put a fucking screen up. That goes for all promotions. But
if you have a screen, put the feet up. It's not that difficult.
Yeah. Then that was the main event of the show, the Elite versus Lucha Bros. Kenny got the victory over Laredo Kid. And
so one thing, did you notice, or in the building after the show, do you notice that like it seemed like Kenny and Pentagon were like going back and forth?
Yes, like we got smoke. We'll see one day. Like, and Kenny got the match with Shima, and then of course he got Moxley at All Out. But I would be I would think there's going to be another match there. I would think there's going to be another.
If there is another Pentagon match, can we please, for the love of God, get them some fucking wins? Like they can't just be the fucking Elite's jobbers.
Yeah, that's why I think they're gonna do another Bucks Lucha match, and I think the Lucha Brothers are gonna win. Like
they should.
Yeah, and like they beat them in Mexico a couple weeks ago for the AAA belts.
But they ain't AEW.
Right. I think they can have like a ladder match or something, and they can beat the Bucks there and do that. Up next, the show ended essentially, and then we got an announcement that there was one more match that was unsanctioned, the Lights Out match between Jon Moxley and Joe Janela, and didn't like. I heard on commentary like they were saying, this is the regular. We got one more match after this and whatever, but It was real nice to see another motivated guy get another shot in Joey Janela. And I'm just going to say it. And James, you might look at me crazy, and people that hear this might look at me crazy. This was the modern day Terry Funk versus Mick Foley. So when you think about people wanting to put themselves through hell, when you think about the aesthetic that each of them carries, a Northeast guy in Joey Janela, just like Mick Foley, who's willing to literally die to become a legend in the ring. Like, it lines up with Jon Moxley, Terry Funk, essentially, who's a worker who can wrestle that deathmatch shit.
I never thought of the Funk and Foley stuff, but like what was happening to me while I was watching it, or at least immediately after, my thoughts were like, I started comparing it to like Foley Edge, Foley Orton, Foley Triple H, Foley Rock. I started comparing it to Foley, like classic Foley matches, hardcore matches, or matches that were, hyper violent. So, in my mind, that's where I went. So but I never thought like one in particular was actually Foley or the other one was. I just thought of it as like, let me compare this to other like quote unquote hardcore matches or stuff that, hyper violent matches that I've seen that are like in North America, that are in like WWF lore. So that's where I went with it. So like for me to hear the Funk Foley thing, like granted, like, people are gonna bristle at that because like, oh yeah, by the way, like today's Terry Funk's 75th birthday.
Happy birthday, Terry Funk.
Yeah. So yeah, I understand why people would bristle at that, but as far as like the quality of the match, like it was up there, and I was like, they did stuff like that spot with the feet, because I have a thing about feet. I ain't
never seen no shit like that.
Like, you know me, like I have a thing about feet where it's like I don't fuck with feet in no way, shape, or form. Keep them fucking hooves away from me. I don't give a damn what they look like.
Also, wash your feet.
Yes, that too.
Always remember, wash your ass. One Nation Radio. Your ass, your legs, your feet.
So for me, like once he took the shoes off, I was like, no.
I was like, bro, he's gonna beat his ass and take his shoes. Like,
no, that's what I thought. I thought like, no, my immediate thought was like, he's gonna drop him on the fucking thumbtacks. And then sure enough, like they teased like he was gonna do it, and they didn't. And then all of a sudden, he basically atomic dropped him onto the shit. I was like, God damn it. And I was like, oh, the whole rest of the match. But like, I mean, granted, they built towards that, but like, I thought it was a classic hardcore match, and for a person that doesn't really like, that's not my thing. Like, I'm not really into horror or TZW shit or whatever else. Like, so my kind of like memory bank for that sort of stuff is limited, but like it was up there amongst the best stuff I've seen in that genre. And I'm not no expert on it, so like don't come at me talking about what about Dungeon Master 49 versus Doomface. I don't fucking know. I never watched them niggas. So yes. I don't even know those people. I'm just making up names. But my point, like I don't know. Don't come to me. But I'm just like for my small like bank of that stuff, like it raced with the rest of that stuff.
Yeah. And I don't really traffic in the deathmatch stuff, but I appreciate it. And I don't. For me, how I kind of look at it, right? As long as it's not just people whacking each other with like no kind of like reason, like, all right, I'm gonna just hit you with a fucking light tube. Now I'm gonna just hit you with a fucking light tube. Now,
right? There must be a story of escalation and finish.
Yeah, like, and I thought these two, like, everything they pulled out, they were trying to up the ante and like just. All right, you gonna take it here? I'm gonna take it there. Now I'm gonna take it here, and then like it seemed like it worked out well. And my concern going into the match was my thing. Whenever I watch Joey Janela, is his matches always go way too fucking long, and like and they go way too past the peak. Like, you know, and my thought for Moxley was, all right, Moxley's gonna essentially be able to know how to close this match off, and it was flawless in that regard. And
yeah, because this was light years beyond that fucking match he had with Hangman at All In last year.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree.
And Moxley looked like a superstar all throughout it. How about it now, Seth Rollins? You're talking about this man took his ball and went home. Yeah, that sure looked like a quitter to me, James. Like,
yeah. So I feel like, at least to me, I feel like I've seen like the match against Juice.
Yep.
And the match last night, I feel like I've seen the best 2 singles matches I've ever seen Ambrose have.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's kind of where we are at, and you know, I'm actually more. I mean, I'm not more like I'm kind of like, wow, like how's this dude gonna heal up in time to like get on the plane and then do fucking G1? but I'm actually like more intrigued to see like how he's gonna survive and how he's gonna do than even before now after this match. Because now this dude like he's actually like putting his money where his mouth is after like talking all that cash shit about like WWE and how he's been held back. Like he's living up to that. Like and then granted, most of the stuff wasn't even about wrestling, about the actual wrestling. It's about the character stuff.
Right.
So it's like this dude now is performing in the ring, or he's having better. I don't want to say about performing because obviously these matches are kind of different. Right, like you got people jumping off fucking balconies and damn near breaking their tailbones, and then like people jumping off ladders. But like the match quality is higher now outside of WWE than it was in WWE, especially like the last 2 years. It's a single, so like,
and then like he's put together everything.
It's interesting, like the angle they shot afterwards.
Yes, we'll get there in a moment, but like the deal with him is like he's rounded off everything else outside of the ring to where he's just like this magnetic presence. Is like you wanted Jon Moxley to make his entrance near you. I don't like that he came through the regular entrance or whatever. I thought he should have came through the crowd again, like, and just like keep that or whatever. But like, it's like when he enters the room, the temperature changes, and we don't know what's gonna happen. But he's like. There's just something about him, and he's drawing people in. He's drawing people to buildings. He's drawing people to like interact with his social media in a way that like it never like worked. Like for whatever reason, he had no interest in doing it. Maybe because WWE like would have micromanaged it even more or whatever. Not saying that for fact, but just listening to his interviews, and he's like essentially I hate to use this comparison, right? But you remember when Trump won the election and Van Jones was like, this is like a raw political talent, like throwaway, like whatever he's talking about. He figured it out, whatever, how to connect. And I think Moxley figured out the way to connect with people. Your eyes lit up. Did Kawhi Leonard just announce he's going to the Lakers?
No. What's your girl's name that's in the WNBA that does ESPN stuff?
There's a few of them.
Oh my God, Cheney.
Not sure.
I can't pronounce her last name. She's one of those. She's one of the twins.
I know the Paris twins.
Not the Paris twins. That's Paris twins, Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about Stanford.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of her name right now. But they
But anyway, basically, like she was out there. She was on the ESPN The Jump because they did a free agency special because the moratorium started at 6 and it was a multiple hour special and they just went off air. And Rachel Nichols had like this effect to where like she was letting off like the club, the mist stuff, like the.
Yes.
One of them joints. She had a few of them around like the set, so every time like new news hit about somebody signing, she would hit that joint and like scare the shit out of like the people that are like some of the panelists. So anyway, like they had so many panelists in because it was like a multiple hour thing, so they needed people to do to do spot duty. So when they signed off, they had people like there and also people like outside and around, like standing to shit like all of them sign off. So she hits it one last time on the sign off, and Cheney was sitting directly underneath one of those mist things that went up, and she's in this fly red dress, and she got upskirted.
Oh no!
Like nothing was shown, but like she just got completely just steamed. She got steamed or misted or whatever you want to call it, like all through her hair and face and up her dress, and then like she walked off set. So that's why I made the face like, oh my God, like she's probably furious. Either she's furious or she's embarrassed or whatever else, but. She was killing that dress. I'll give her that. She was wearing that dress, boy. So what are we talking about?
Back to the match. Like so Joe
you want to talk about WNBA? No. No?
We can do that another time. But
okay, so
Joey Janela got the pay-per-view main event for the second show. I think that's huge for him, and got to be in there and be on that level, and that's the theme of the show. It seemed like Moxley, Janela, Darby Allin, Private Party. It was a night of elevation, essentially.
Yeah. I think it's more of a night. I wouldn't say elevation as much as it is a night of showcasing. Like, I mean, and we're gonna be doing that for a while, right? And I feel like that's gonna be part of AEW is like they're always gonna be constantly like showcased for people at different points, like because I feel like they're gonna be bringing in people that you don't know but you will know or you probably should know, so you're gonna provide that spotlight and I think that's gonna keep the product fresh. But as far as Janela, I think Janela probably settles in that mid-card pack as well, right?
Right. And I don't see him as a world title guy or anything like that.
Oh,
but
no.
I think he's of serious value because he has a built-in fan base. He has his own kind of cool aesthetic, and he still has Joey Janela Spring Break, which can be if you want to eventually integrate that with AEW, or I don't know how that will work, with the whole GCW thing. I don't know if they own that, whatever, but he can wrestle anybody. I think that he's going to be a great utility guy. That you can literally throw him in there with anybody. I'd watch a Kenny Omega Joey Janela match. I'd watch a damn Joey Janela versus Hangman match. I'd watch a Joey Janela in a tag team match. I don't know. He's just a versatile, unique kind of performer for me.
Okay. Yeah. I think as long as he's in there with somebody that either A can provide something that he doesn't, then he'll be good. You can't just have deathmatch versus deathmatch. I don't really want to see him versus Jimmy Havoc.
I want to see him versus Jericho.
Yeah, that's my point. I want to see him versus people that don't I want to see Spectacular High Flyer versus him. I want to see him versus Kenny, as you mentioned. I want to see Janela versus someone like Cody, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I want to see out of him. I don't want to see him go out there and have your clusterfuck with Jimmy Havoc or Darby Allin, because they're both. So you're both gonna jump off of shit really high. Okay, cool. You're both gonna take you're both gonna take dangerous falls that can potentially kill you. Cool, right? So I think that I think they need to just keep him as treat him if he's going to be your death match kind of guy, you use that sparingly. You don't have him out here doing it every pay-per-view or whatever the hell we're calling these shows, or even every, Big Four show a Double or Nothing or an All Out /In or whatever else. You have him do that thing once a year.
This is Clash of the Champions. That's all this is.
Fair enough.
It's free. It's for everybody, and they're kind of pay-per-views too. But after the match, Kenny Omega came out to beat that ass, to roll up and get some revenge for Moxley jumping out on him at Double or Nothing. I thought it was a nice little brawl they did. He ended up hitting him with the move. He literally played the drums on this man because Kenny's a fucking lunatic, and hit him with an electric guitar and everything like that.
I thought it was interesting that by him, the way he hit him with the drumsticks and also tried to hit on the drum set is it's clear. That man maybe has touched a set of drumsticks 5 times in his life ever. I thought that was interesting to note. Interesting to know is he's just out here just winging it.
So how hot is this Omega and Moxley thing now? They're in the business of selling pay-per-views right now, James. I feel
my god! I mean, for me, it's bigger than Omega Jericho.
Oh yeah, from Double or Nothing.
Yeah, it's big. Obviously, you got to worry about build or whatever else. But right now, I care more about that than I ever cared about Jericho Omega 2.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what was going on, but I want to see that. I feel like that's going to do a bigger buy rate.
Yeah, that's gonna be something to really watch, and Jericho.
Oh, and it's 1,000 times bigger, maybe 100,000 times bigger than the fucking tag or than the title match. But it is what it is.
Like Jericho's gonna have to get on his he's gonna have to show people why he's Chris Jericho, why he makes all this money per match now, and it's gonna be an uphill battle for him. But I don't think he's gonna be able to swing that tide as far as
Oh no. No, unless the Rock's gonna take Adam Page's spot or some star that's in WWE that's been treated like a star over the last couple of years that is about to get out of his contract and or totally unaware of. Well, I don't think there's any of those right now. Unless a Seth Rollins or a Roman or an AJ or a Daniel Bryan or a Ricochet or Johnny Gargano is gonna show up. I don't think that's gonna do it. I just don't.
I just enjoy the fact that Kenny Omega's going to get to show how to do a blood feud with Jon Moxley the right way. Seth Rollins.
That's funny considering that Seth and Dean used to know how to do it, and then
they forgot.
I don't know what. Apparently so. Apparently so.
Yeah.
I'll never get over that.
I will never forgive that feud.
You've done it 2 times before, and both times were excellence. Right? It's funny because I'm looking at Chad's. Chad's book is right in front of me, and that feud was somewhere in the top 50. I'm assuming, from what I remember, and it's probably in the 40s, maybe. And then okay, so they're gonna add to it. Thank God. And now the dynamics have changed, right? And they fucked it. I couldn't believe it. They fucked it totally.
But speaking of fucking it, Ring of Honor.
Oh my God!
But overall, I thought Fyter Fest was a great show. Another positive sign for AEW, and if they're gonna do this if this is the level, I can rock with it.
This is what I'd say. On the TV copy, I thought it was. I think it was a good show, maybe even a very good show. But the thing that may really take away is the stuff that was supposed to matter all came through. So from that perspective, if you're about if Cody's one of your top, Cody's one of the top 4, he succeeded by the end of the night. The Young Bucks and Kenny, that match was a great match. Moxley's first match in AEW, home run. Grand slam, whatever the hell you want to call it, touchdown, slam dunk, alley-oop, whatever, right? Triple play, whatever thing for success you want to call it, right? So from that perspective, it was one of those things where it was a good show in the stuff that people quote unquote tuned in to see or paid to see, whatever else, that stuff came through in a bigger way than most of the card did. So in that perspective, it was a success. It was a success.
Yeah, and
just don't do no more fucking headshots.
Yeah, I think they're going to, if they're smart, they'll stay away from that because it's a battle. Excuse me. That's an argument you can't really win because you can't prove you're right.
Why would you want to win it?
Right, and you can't we rattled this nigga's brains inside of his skull. Right.
He'll be okay. No, don't do it.
Right.
What's wrong with you?
And you can only create negativity around doing something like that. But speaking of negativity, a show where all the heels went over. We don't talk about Ring of Honor much on this show, and usually it's for good reason. Somehow I got talked into watching this show. I don't watch or care for.
Who talked you into it? Was it the fact that, I said, I'm kind of interested in watching this show, earlier in the week? Is that what it was?
It was that, and the combination of getting invited over to watch it with Josh and Jeremy. I was like, all right, I'll watch it. Then, I'm not doing anything else. But
you see, I ain't go over there.
This was
no. Answer no. Respond to that one. You see, I ain't go over there.
All right.
It's Ring of Honor.
It's Ring of Honor.
It's Ring of Honor. Post Elite.
Look, guess what Richie did during the show?
What?
Sleep.
Oh, you fell asleep?
Yes.
Oh,
I fell asleep for a good portion of the card, and I picked my spots well. I was that whole Jonathan Gresham match where he's punching people in the dick after sleep. The Allure match, sleep. just falling in and out, and I'm just reading the results. What did you think of this, man? Because this company's they got all these dudes on there that seem to have something going for them,
right?
Or have something special about them. They all get beat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just gonna go through the card real quick. I'm pulling it up right now, but yeah. So you're right. Like the first thing is like, all right, they're just basically pushing all their homegrown talent, or let me phrase it, like the incumbents, the people that are more tenured or whatever, as opposed to like, hey man, like I don't know what it is with some companies, but like their insistence on people wanting to push their guys, even though like they're not the hotter act or the act that has more potential to potentially make you money in the future. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'll never understand it. Like that is top notch Vincery. So
like because if you do it right, they'll all become your guys.
No, well, they're already all your guy because you pay because you have them on a contract. You goddamn dummies.
Right,
like it's like when Vince beats Sting or whatever else to in theory then get Triple H heat so that he can get his ass whipped by Ronda Rousey 2 hours later at WrestleMania 31. That is fucking dumb because, well, let's not even get into the part that we're like, they never even had the fucking match they were trying to build towards. Let's just focus on the fact that it's like, look, man, if he's a loser, he can lose again. It's fine. Like, Triple H using the Sting, was that going to do anything to kill Triple H's heat? He's Triple H. He's done nothing but beat motherfuckers for the last 15 years.
You know, it's
WWE
versus WCW. You know,
we moved on to something completely other, and there's nothing like Goldberg. Goldberg went out there and lost to Undertaker just the other day, a few weeks ago. After they did what? They apparently started saying it was WCW versus WWE, and you immediately knew that WWE was going to win. Even though, if you say who's more likely before that match when Goldberg got severely concussed and maybe may have damaged his neck, if you were to say who has more of a shelf life as far as being able to sell some matches, Undertaker or Goldberg, the answer is Goldberg because look at his run in 2016 to 17, as opposed to Undertaker, who like we didn't even want to put him on WrestleMania this year. Yeah. So
we
anyway,
long past the point.
Yeah. The returns have been diminished. So anyway, moving back to let your hand about Ring of Honor. Like you look up and down the card and you see it, it's like, okay, you decide to do Roosh versus Flip and you put on the pre-show and it's like, okay, whatever. They had a good match. Don Castle versus Dragon Lee. Don Castle's out here in the fucking Larry Bird back brace from the late 90s from late 80s, early 90s. Like he looks like Don Castle out here looking like Larry Bird in the Dream Team photo.
God damn. But with long hair.
Yes. So, and then I guess we gotta talk about it.
That man got a back so bad Steve Nash is jealous.
Dude, no, I'm not talking about the back injury. I'm talking about like the back zits. Like, the back zits would make Jinder blush. Like
yeah.
Like, dude, look, your back's in shambles like that, and you got the back brace on. You got the high ass trunks to cover up the back brace. You out here looking like. I don't know. He got them draws from Greg the Hammer Valentine, my guy. Like, so
that man looking like Dino Bravo. Like, got that shit pulled up to the nipple.
Like I watched him and then I watched him. Keep in mind, like, you know, we all had something to say about like the mistake it was for Super Card of Honor in New Orleans to have the Don Castle versus Marty Scurll match go on last as opposed to Kenny versus Cody. However, you watch that match and you see like the athlete that Don Castle was, and that athlete ain't here with us right now in 2019. And you know, pretty much like right after that match, like his back with the shit, right? And if his back is in the way, if his back is affecting the way he wrestles to that extent, then maybe he needs to take some time off.
Yeah,
because he was out there wrestling
Dragon Lee.
He's wrestling Dragon Lee, and he decided to go out there and wrestle like I don't want to turn this to a pejorative thing, but like he wanted to wrestle like he was the Miz.
Yeah. Yeah, Dragon Lee, you know, he don't have no bad matches. So, you know, I thought it turned decent towards the end of that match. I did see that whole match. Like good, you know, 3.25, 3.5.
I wouldn't go 3.5. I would have probably gave it a flat 3.
Yeah, and I think Dragon Lee, like, poor guy. Man, they had to beat that guy.
that's the worst singles match I've ever seen Dragon Lee have. But then again, like, I don't really watch a bunch of them. But like every time, like I find it hard for Dragon Lee to wrestle the way he does consistently, and to see him like wrestle something that's under like 3 3/4. Like that dude is phenomenal, and that dude works hard, and that dude takes risks to make his match be at a certain level. And like it ultimately was Dragon Lee. I mean, they even told a story in the match and of, you know, like he's more or less racing wrestling. I'm looking at I'm watching indie racing right now on the TV as I was saying, trying to say wrestle, so I turned in my rip brain. Sorry, but he's in the middle of wrestling Rush's brother because of what happened at MSG. So it's like the story is like I'm going to stress your brother or whatever else as, you know, retribution, and like that's why he finished the match off by doing, you know, the whatever, the horn, the double foot stomp into the corner, into the bottom turnbuckle. So I mean it just didn't. 2 years ago, you expected like a way better match than this, and it's like only thing I can really chalk it up to is like Dalton's just that beat up to where it's like that dude needs to take a break.
Yeah. What else I got on the show? Keep going.
I mean, okay, yeah. Point. So after that, jeez, you have the Allure versus Jenny Rose and Kelly Klein. Woo. Yeah, this match. Okay, so apparently Mandy Leon just came back from or whatever else. Angelina Love, she was in the match, but Angelina Love is like she's carrying the bulk of the match throughout. Kelly Klein is in the match, and I thought like the exchanges between like Kelly Klein and Angelina Love were good to above average, right? Mm-hmm. But like anything not involving them wasn't on point. Yeah. So, and you know, they ultimately it doesn't really matter because it sets up to where at the end you have Maria Manic. She shows up and she comes in and she gets like the immediate like Goldberg push. She comes out and she like lays like the Allure shook of them. Security comes out because of course like what the fuck is this, you know, this non-talent doing here? Like, well, I mean honestly, like they brought security, but I don't know why they ain't just go out there and bring out Bully Ray, right? So she lays waste to them, like she power bombs one of them. She throws them around and is like, yo, or she actually power bomb one from over the top ropes onto Geeks on the Geek security guard members on the floor, and I'm just like, yo, give her the rocket strap, like make her be like Goldberg running through Allure, like it's like her running through Allure like it's Goldberg running through the NWO, like it needs to be that. Like she like it got over that now. I'm like, yo, this is awesome. Like I thought this was probably like the best thing they did all night. So
she's one
as far as the future thing.
Yeah, she's one of Jordan Grace's homegirls, I believe.
All right, can she wrestle like Jordan Grace?
I think so.
If she can, she should be the champion last week. So anyway, so then from there they do best of three, the final of the best of three between Kenny King and Jay Lethal. Like I thought they were having a good match, so they start fucking stuff up left and right. Right? Yeah, like, it was all good until it started going all wrong. Right.
The best thing about this was the video package where Kenny King, yes. They showed he got blasted by the Great Muta and he went blind. James. He went blind.
Yes, that was probably the funniest thing of the entire night. Yes, that part where he was like, and then he walks out, he can see, but he has the walking stick still. And I'm like, boy, you ain't shit. Like you terrible for this one. So yeah, I mean, I thought it fell apart. In like the, you know, in the middle, like the 2/3 of it, but then like, you know, the finishing stretch, the crowd was into the finishing stretch really big. So I mean. It wasn't. They should have had a better match, but it fell apart in the middle way. But they kind of pulled it back together at the end. So I mean, I wouldn't say that's the worst thing in the world. I mean, Kenny King is what, in his late 30s, right?
Yes.
So it's like, all right, now or never. I mean, because you can beat Jay Lethal to death and it won't matter because Jay Lethal is Jay Lethal is Jay Lethal. He's always gonna be Jay Lethal, right? So he is the Ring of Honor legend. So. Like, sure, if you feel like it's time to promote Kenny King, then sure, you probably should do that shit like 5 years ago, but here we are now. So then we get Jonathan Gresham. We get Gresham versus Silas Young in I think it's called a Pure Rules match, right? Okay, so this match, as is being told to me, as it's going to be laid out, is Silas Young has been cheating in matches against him and low blowing him and Rebels and looking, and he's cheating. So the babyface wants a Pure Rules match so that It's strictly pro wrestling because Silas Young has a gimmick saying he's the last real man, and he's almost not a vaudevillian, but like he's like, I am a wrestler, like I'm a grappler, I am a hooker, I am a stretcher, right? Like I got everything but the dungeon certification. So they have the match, and the rules are you have 3 rope breaks. It's basically more or less like you can get pinned or submitted, but if you get caught in a submission, in a hold, you get 3 rope breaks. After the third one, there is no rope escape, so you're fucked.
Right.
And then there is another rule to where you're allowed one close-fisted strike. And you get a warning, and the second one is an automatic disqualification. So you can still pin people or whatever else. So as I hear the rules says match, I'm thinking like this match is going to be death. Like this is like this match is going to be like it's an Iron Man match, except like so people are gonna sit. This is like a match where like people are gonna sit in their hands until like you have gotten rid of all the stuff, or like how we talk about like the War Games matches in NXT, where it's like nothing can be won until everybody's out here. So I just gotta sit here and just watch the wrestling and hope that it's good enough to overcome the fact that I know nothing can ultimately come of this. Okay, we'll see how this works 2019. They did some smart stuff in this match. It did not matter. They did some neat stuff on how to like basically to get rid of people's rope breaks. Did not matter. Ultimately, nobody gave a flying fuck until everybody's rope breaks were exhausted. They also did a weird thing where Gresham's the babyface. Gresham got up in the count for rope breaks, which is like, so you're getting rid of the heat. At that point, it happened early in the match too. Like Gresham only had 1 rope break, and then he got up to the 1-2 advantage on Silas. Like, why would you do this? Like the heat is the babyface coming back, not staying on top. Like what Anyway, so it reminded me of almost like the Seth and Ziggler match from that they got shat on. Yes. It's like you have to understand something. We want to cheer for one guy. Like if one guy is clearly ahead, they have no reason to cheer anymore. So maybe not do that. So anyway, they get in the match, and like I said, the story is that Silas Young has been cheating in different spots against Gresham. So Gresham gets an opportunity where the ref isn't looking, so he low blows Silas as revenge. In theory, or in most cases, that works because revenge is fair play or whatever the turnabout's fair play, whatever the saying is. Like, look,
comeuppance.
You're right, comeuppance. Like you did this, there, I'll get you back. Like a lot of great stories, all professional wrestling of that. Like it's Undertaker finally bashing Shawn's face in with a steel chair after he got screwed at Hell in a Cell after what happened at SummerSlam '97. It's before. Another example, another Hell in a Cell match. It's Ambrose and Seth, where like before Bray brought his ass out for the fuck finish, like Seth had tried to murder Dean by curb stomping him through some center blocks. So at the end of that match, he beats Seth's ass and he pulls out a center block. He's going to stomp his head through his turnabout fair play. Like that's good storytelling. In this case, after going through that pure rules match for that long, through all that rigmarole. For him to low blow, the crowd rejected it, and I guess, I don't know if they didn't know the story or whatever else, because, a lot of people, when it comes to Ring of Honor, they're not following that TV because why the fuck would you follow that TV?
Yeah.
So they just thought, oh, you turned heel. So that, that just means your TV's not strong enough for people to know what the fuck's going on. So, like...
This is a horribly booked promotion.
Right now it is, yeah.
It's just bad. Like,
I
was puzzled throughout a lot of this.
So based on what I'm saying is all is like that thing was like actually made some sense, but it backfired on him. So it backfired on them because like their TV's weak right now. So that sucks for them, right? Even when you try, so sometimes even you try to do good things, like it's still you end up getting screwed. So Eli Drake versus Aldis versus the Briscoe brothers. I thought they at different points in this match it was good, but it went to a time limit draw, so it's like fuck. Right, and then,
Was a star made during this or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's another one I slept on, so.
Well, it's not. Then we're going to get to the one that really drew my fucking ire. Ring of Honor World Television title match. Shane Taylor versus Bandito. They beat Bandito for Shane Taylor, so Shane Taylor can continue to be the television champion. Wow.
Yeah.
Beat him clean as a sheet too. Like the match was surprisingly better than I thought it was going to be for most of the match. And then they hit the spot. I don't know if you remember the spot, but Shane Taylor's big ass comes off the second rope for a crossbody. And Bandito catches him in fall away slam position and holds him there. And he didn't fucking budge. He didn't buckle. He didn't tremble. He stood there as if he was like a 50-pound plate. And I just like, holy shit! Like people talk about how strong Bandito is, and you remember the fall away or the fall away moonsault he did when he was holding Dragon Lee and
Ishimori.
Who was that? Yeah, and Ishimori for the at Madison Square Garden, but like this was something completely different. And he caught him, and I was like, "Yo, that's incredible!" Like like I haven't seen like a feat of strength like that since like Cesaro, like putting Big Show up like in the power slam position and power slamming his ass at WrestleMania 30. Like I was like, "Yo, this is awesome!" So Shane Taylor won. And I was just like, "Oh, okay." So he pulled that spot at his ass for nothing, more or less. Cool, great, fantastic. Next match after that. Next match after that is Villain Enterprises versus Lifeblood. So Lifeblood, like there's no Juice there, no Tenelle Dashwood. So it is. I mean, obviously she won't be wrestling, but like she's a bigger star right now than other people in this thing. So it is Mark Haskins, PJ Black, the former Justin Gabriel, and Tracy Williams. Tracy Williams looks like he's cosplaying like he wants to be Shibata so bad. So. Like, that match is good. There's botches in it, but like it's entertaining. The crowd's really into it. Crowd enjoys it. I mean, like Brody King is out here doing like Phoenix, Mai Iwatani, like double arm drag deals after where he like gets a basically springboard, Arabian flips and arm drags and whatever else. It's like, yo, this is. Like this dude that size looking like honestly that size and that like body type of being sloppy like that, like it's really impressive that someone that looks like that can do all that kind of stuff. He did some cool stuff with him and PCO with dives, whatever else, where like he basically like monkey flips him off the apron onto Lifeblood on the floor. And it looked like Williams almost got his head crushed underneath PCO's body against the mat on that fall. I thought, that could have been dangerous. So anyway, I can't remember even won the match. I just remember like liking parts of it and didn't like parts of it. But like ultimately, some other group comes and beats up Lifeblood. So your boy makes the save. Bandito comes out and makes a save. And then Bully Ray, who, we thought you can get through a Ring of Honor show without Bully Ray. Wrong. We got to sprinkle some more shit on top of this Sunday. Comes out. And so naturally, because, Flip comes out to make the save. So then they hand him a shirt, a Lifeblood shirt. Like, all right, cool.
This made no fucking sense at all.
It's run-ins on run-ins. Right? Like, they have the match. Villain Enterprise, they retain their titles.
Well, the video part, that's what I'm getting at. But
that's my point. Is run-ins on run-ins, and then also this is like super convoluted. So you have the match for the Villain Enterprises retain their titles. Then there's a run-in from another trios faction or from another faction. Then Bandito comes in because he's also in Lifeblood. Then Bully Ray, who's not affiliated with none of this shit to my knowledge, comes in and and just wants to fuck stuff up because like I got to get my shine in somehow, some way. Then Flip comes out. Flip clears out because they have a history with Bully Ray. Clears out Bully Ray. So then they were like, "Hey man, you kind of cool. Like here's a Lifeblood shirt." So they hand him a Lifeblood shirt. Now it's the lights cut off, and then they show a pre-taped video that we didn't know pre-taped at the time, and only to make sense in retrospect, it was pre-taped where. It shows Marty on the screen who was just fucking out here saying that like, yeah, like I see Lifeblood, y'all got a new partner. But let me let y'all know, like, I'm gonna show you who the fourth member of Villain Enterprises is, and then they pan over and it's fucking Flip. So it's like,
how did you know to like play this?
So what basically what you're saying is, in theory, you knew that like this third faction had nothing to do with y'all was gonna make a run in. Then you knew that Bandito was gonna try to make this. Bandito was gonna make the save. Bandito was gonna make the save. Then you knew that Bully Ray was going to just fuck stuff up because he wants to be like a force of nature. Like he wants to be a chaos agent, right? So then you knew like implement it now. Implement the plan.
Play the video.
Strategy 38. We're gonna bring Flip out there to then like help make the save for Lifeblood, and then we're gonna whoop like we're gonna make him make it a save for Lifeblood. Then we're gonna help him whoop Lifeblood's ass. So
you know what this reminds me of, and the same motherfuckers involved. No, I wasn't gonna say higher power. Aces and eights. Yes. Now you whoop my ass, but I'm the leader. Like you done whoop my ass for 9 months, but I'm actually the leader. Like
Jesus Christ. So after all those run-ins,
the higher power, you can at least say motherfuckers was being like they was operating underhanded, like they was trying to fool people.
Yes, that's a good point. Fair enough. Right. So. I mean, that still don't explain like Vincent like letting his daughter be like subject
to
all that nonsense, but whatever. Whatever. It still does. Look, regardless of whatever we have to say about the higher power shit, like it still made more sense than this. So then they beat the hell out of them, and and somebody sets up a table on the floor by a turnbuckle. So it's way too close. I'm thinking as he's about to do whatever he's going to do, that he may clip that Flip might clip the ropes or the edge of the apron before making his final descent towards the table. So he goes up there. He doesn't clip anything, but because it's so close, I guess the force of the Flip and the elevation he gets, because he has hops, leapers. You stick the hands on the 450s to try to make sure to like you don't over rotate and like bounce your skull off of the mat or the floor. 60 arms out for breaks or whatever else, and he ends up immediately grabbing his elbow or arm. And I'm thinking like, fuck, he may have just shattered his forearm. Well, turns out he dislocated his elbow and they popped it back in. But like who knows how long he's out or if he's out or whatever else. But like, there's a guy that just recently. He's been dealing with injuries because of the way he wrestles, and it's like, damn, that sucks. So, ain't nothing like that. Ain't nothing like that. Everything was a failure. We got someone injured. We shot something convoluted and confusing, and like no one wants to see a match. Outstanding, guys. What a trifecta! And then the main event of the night.
Oh my god! I saw this whole thing.
Matt Taven versus Jeff Cobb. Now, I finally realized who Taven looks like, but I'm not going to say it on air because I have a bunch of jokes that go with it, and I refuse to say it on air because like it is totally irresponsible. So I'm not going to say it on air. So we like to be transparent. We like to be transparent about saying, look, man, like. We have no qualms about selling our souls, but like we will be transparent about saying we will sell or about selling our souls, or we will say like if there's something that we can't say for the sake of decency or bread, we just not gonna say it. And we'll be honest with you, like, look, bro, we're not saying it. I'm not saying this shit on air, but like I guarantee you, when we get off air and I say who it looks like, you're gonna fucking die. And you be like, he does. Anyway, so.
That man came out in that Halloween costume.
The soft piano music, like it gets me every time. It's like this is what you get. This is what he's coming out to, huh?
Yeah. All right. Jeff Cobb's out there, and you start looking. It's like, it's like 11:49. But then you think, oh, they can just go, whatever, and then you forget, oh, they're actually on pay-per-view. They fucking have a hard cap. How is this going to work? But then you kind of forget because you've been conditioned by WWE. They can just go as long as they want, but that's not how it works. Right. So.
And you're so used to everything being on streaming. Or you're used to everything being on streaming, they can go as long as they want, but like that pay-per-view thing, you forget about it. So next, I didn't even look at the time, but I just saw the match, and I'm like, okay, they have a good match. They're doing a good match. And then all of a sudden, he pins him.
It's over.
What?
Yeah.
I thought that this was a good, like, first third of match. Where's the rest? what's going on here? And I thought like, oh wow. And then after that, I realized there was a time, and I was like myself, well, if you knew that, why the fuck didn't you wrap up some of the stuff that went way too long?
So it was poor booking throughout the show, poor time management, poor matches in some cases.
Yep.
And then like putting Jeff Cobb in a position to lose his winning streak. Wow.
Yeah, that's another thing. It was funny because they put over on the pre-show, Coleman and Ian and Colt, all three of them put over the fact that like Roosh and Jeff Cobb are the only two undefeated men in Ring of Honor. Anybody in the night, beat him in 8 minutes.
Yeah,
fuck them.
Yeah.
Why and why and the people listen. Most people's logic for why Taven won this match was what?
Was because Jeff Cobb's going in the G1 and he's going to lose.
Right, he's going to be in the G1, and we don't want him. And we don't want the Ring of Honor champion to be out here taking L's like that. So what you're saying is your idea to avoid him losing a bunch is to beat him.
Exactly.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Don't make the match.
If anyone's going to beat him, it's going to be our guy.
Don't make the match. But the thing is, right? Taven beats him, right?
Yep.
And then over the course of the next month, he's going to lose like 4 other times. At least. Maybe 6.
Yeah.
So, how impressive that win really going to be in a month from now? By at the end of August? None at all.
I don't think they're thinking about it that long.
Politics bullshit.
I don't
Outstanding.
Think.
Great job, guys.
And then Ring of Honor seems like they're scared to death that everyone's about to like abandon ship on that promotion, so they refuse to push any of them. That's like seems to be the overarching theme here.
Oh, you mean like Skrull?
Yeah, it's like Marty, Bandito.
I mean, they gave him a faction.
Yeah.
I mean, they gave him a faction, and they're the trios champions or whatever else. But like, they're the trio champions. Like that, Marty should have won the belt at Super Con Honor, 2017.
I don't know.
And they never got around to it.
I don't know what Cobb's relationship is with like any of the guys in AEW, but Bandito, everything could be different for him right now had he chose to go to AEW. In like a alternate universe, I think it may have been Tom that said this. It was like it could have been Bandito and the Lucha Brothers against Kenny and the Elite.
I mean, at the same time, like a lot of the decisions to go to Ring of Honor had to do with stuff that had nothing to do with Ring of Honor, right? Like a lot of that stuff is like that can get me into Best Super Juniors, right? Like that can get me into New Japan. And like that can get me like Roosh and I think Dragon Lee, like they they hooked up with Ring of Honor to secure the visas.
Yep.
Right? So it's like some of that stuff wasn't just exclusively about like, oh, this is the best place for my wrestling career. A lot of this was like, this is for my family or whatever else. Like I can't really knock them for that kind of thing. And it's like, look, man, the contracts ain't forever.
Right. And
he already in here, so like, who knows what happens with him? Like, I wish him the best because like I love watching Dragon Lee wrestle, and I want to watch as much Dragon Lee as possible. Like, while the time still permits, because who knows when the fuck he ain't gonna be able to wrestle like this no more? Because he's a psychopath.
And I think some people are talking about Roosh at WWE too, to get in there with Andrade. Like, and
Roosh would make a lot of sense. Yeah. Roosh would make a lot of sense in WWE. Like he is the charismatic guy that they would like. His English is better than Andrade's. He's not as spectacular. He's not as good a worker as Andrade, but I mean,
who is
like? I mean, yeah, exactly, right. So, like I could definitely see that or whatever else, and I see why like they're pushing like, and I'm glad they're pushing like that because that dude is oozing with just like. Has you ever seen somebody with hair like that looks like he looks like he will fuck you up and then take your woman. Like that's the best way I could put it.
Yes.
Like, yeah. Like and then like bro, and it's not like
I need the faction like the Angel Garza, Andrade, Humberto, and him like the Latino four horsemen. Like run it. Like put all the boys in some suits.
Wait, who's the faction? Name your faction again.
So it'd be Andrade. It'd be Humberto Carrillo.
Okay.
It would
the reason why I asked you to say it back is like, do you make sure you put Humberto on here?
Yes. Humberto Carrillo, Garza, and Roosh.
Yeah, like apparently Garza and Humberto are related. I think they're cousins.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They were a tag team. I heard.
Really?
I believe I heard they were a tag team. Like, I could be wrong, but I feel like they were a tag team. It was like Ultimo Ninja and Ultimo something. I forgot.
I guess I'm gonna have to get on the internet and go find some of them.
Yeah,
that sounds incredible.
But yeah, I think it's gonna wrap the show up. We were going a little long here, but that's okay. We were reviewing some big shows here. Thank you everybody for listening to the show here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Check out all the other great shows here on the network. Keeping it strong style. These guys, they have a huge announcement that they're going to share with you on their show. I will not steal their thunder by just revealing it here, but that'll be Tuesday. Of course, we got Ricky and Clive. Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, they're back. We've got Grown Men Watch This Shit on the network as well. We've got NXT Then Now Forever with James, and we've got Get in the Ring with Danny and Mike, and also with Floyd and Amy, All Things Elite. So they dropped an excellent immediate reaction show to this. As I mentioned earlier, there is a JRJ show, like Josh Rich Jeremy show dropping. We were driving in the car, so it's a unique kind of conversation, and it's probably like, a little over like an hour and a half, and this was literally the drive from Daytona back to Tampa. So you guys will get that. I don't know if Jeremy's gonna edit out the fun that we saw on the road and our live reactions to it, which was like insane. But I drove.
Oh God.
Yeah. So yeah. It was. I needless to say, I kept everyone safe. So, but
yeah, real safe driving. 500 speed limit and shit.
Yeah, I ain't like, trying to.
You look. You drive like you got bricks in the trunk.
That's funny. But yeah, you got anything to say before we get up out of here?
No, nothing. I mean, for those that are kind of wondering, like, what the fuck is a WWE talk? We did the midweek thing when we talked about Bischoff and Heyman, and we talked about almost like a part 2 about Seth. And I think, yeah. So I guess be on the lookout for that, whatever, further down on the podcast feed. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what's up for next week. Example, because it feels like every weekend we're getting a big show. So I know Extreme Rules is not next week, the weekend after that. So I'm trying to figure out in my mind what's next weekend.
First day to G1 Dallas.
Ooh, that's right. So we'll have that to talk about. Yep. Sorry, keeping it strong style. Suck it.
So yeah, we'll be touching on that and whatever stories may arise, because I'm not going to, spend a bunch of time on the main roster. So
I mean, the thing is, look, ultimately, there's a lot of stuff to watch. As this show just showed you, as this show that we just did shows you, there's AEW, there's Ring of Honor, they're gonna have big shows occasionally. We might have to. Well, I can't believe I'm saying this. We might have to bring Caleb in when next time they do a pay-per-view it for Slammiversary.
Slammiversary is on Sunday.
This coming Sunday.
Yes.
So we'll have that apparently. Yeah, we'll do a preview. We'll probably do a post show. We'll do a post show.
Yeah, we'll have Caleb on and figure that out. So.
Oh God.
Hopefully his internet will hold up. So.
Sorry, America. sorry, world.
Yeah, but that's gonna wrap the show up. We will holler at y'all next time. Peace.
Later.